been canceled. Individuals not already on main campus at this time should avoid coming to the Tallahassee main campus. Again, just indicative of that large police presence and what we're going to see over the next several hours as this investigation unfolds. We've seen this play out time.
Hey guys, I'm just doing a quick live stream to cover the Florida State supposedly shooting, 4 hospitalized after Florida State shooting.
Moving and unfolding situation. There's going to be a lot to learn here in the hours ahead, Tom.
I'm going to run this live stream until we get more details. Just want to know more about what's coming out. Not a lot of coverage, as you can see.
It is time for you to leave the United States. That's the first sentence Lisa Anderson saw in an email she got from the Department of Homeland Security Friday.
The language seems
live stream is over with. I'm trying to pick up on some of these local live streams in that area. Here's one from the local affiliate. Let me grab this one real quick. Let's see here. All right, where's your audio?
Not believe what they've seen here today. Ava, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Stacy. That's Stacy Inez. She is there on campus. That showed the Moore Auditorium there. You can see the crime tape and several law enforcement agencies. They're looking for evidence on the ground. You can see clothes. You can see shoes. I'm sure students rushing to sort of get away from whatever was happening. And they've been going in and out of the building. So this investigation continues there. And you know, just trying to get to the bottom of what exactly happened there today on campus.
And Stacy described something, again, something that's reminiscent of the 2014 shooting on FSU's campus when she mentioned the students coming out with their hands up. That's exactly what we saw in the video from the shooting that happened at Strozier Library on FSU's campus in 2014. You saw those students there. And so now you see the law enforcement officers escorting these students out now safely. They were in shock, but everyone seemed calm by the time we got to them and feeling safe with the law enforcement presence out there.
That's right. We have Jacob Murphy. He is there. He's at Woodward in Tennessee, right near the Student Union. Of course, at Dewey in Tennessee, we've got Cody Butler, our Allison Posey at TMH, and she gave us, okay, if you look on your screen right now, these are from Jacob Murphy's at Woodward in Tennessee. These buses are taking students away. There is a reunification point for students at the Tucker Civic Center. These buses very well may be taking those students to that reunification place for them to get in touch with their families. And of course,
just so you guys know, so far they're saying that 6 people are injured. Now, we know when they say injured, that could mean somebody falling as they ran away. I've seen reports of as many as 4 people dead. That's obviously not confirmed right now. This report right here is showing that 1 person is critically injured and 6 people injured. So again, not enough details. I did see some video of them putting shackles on a person in the back of an ambulance. I'll try to share that with you guys later on. But for now, I'm going to stick with the live feed right now because it's obviously unfolding data.
To make sure that they're taking the absolute very best care of these victims.
And several state lawmakers, we have several statements coming out from different lawmakers. We're going to put the one up from Rick Scott right there. This is Senator Rick Scott. He says, praying for the safety of everyone at FSU and a swift recovery for those injured. My team has been in touch with local law enforcement and continues to monitor the situation. Students should continue to follow directions from school officials. Again, that's Senator Rick Scott releasing that statement.
All right, Ashley Moody also releasing a statement. My office has already been in contact with school leadership about the tragic reporting on FSU's campus. I am praying for the safety of the students, faculty, and all first responders involved.
And several of these statements coming out, a lot of people expressing their concern, their thoughts and their prayers, and hopefully, many people are being safe right now. It is interesting, though, one of the students that we heard from live on air not too long ago, he mentioned he hopes he doesn't have to go to a memorial.
Yeah.
I thought that was really deep when he said that.
So deep.
At the time, right now, the information we have on the victims, it's 6 victims, and they are still alive from the last update we got, 5 serious, 1 critical, and they're all at TMH at this time. But I thought that was, very powerful to hear him say he doesn't want to have to go to another memorial.
It definitely is. Representative Gallup Franklin released a statement as we actively monitor the situation unfolding at Florida State University regarding the mass shooting at the school. Our deepest concerns are with the victims of this senseless act and their families. I'm sincerely grateful for the quick reaction of first responders in this situation. This is a time of great concern, worry, and anguish for the FSU community in all of Tallahassee and Leon County. I stand with our students, educators, families, and neighbors during this time of uncertainty and grief. Schools, colleges, and universities must be places of learning and safety, not fear. Once we have the full details of
Let
this
them carry
heinous
guns
attack,
there.
we will act with purpose and urgency to prevent tragedies like this from happening again. Now, this is new video just came in of people running across the street. This is about 12 noon today, running across West Tennessee Street. Obviously,
Yeah,
heard the
Clint,
shots.
I saw that too.
Coming from,
Where's that?
I'm not sure exactly what, coming from the student union, I'm not sure.
Clint
But this
says
is
2
video
shooters. I
of
saw
them
the
as
first
this scene
initial
was
reports that came
unfolding
out said
this
multiple
afternoon.
shooters.
Right, and
Trying
again,
to get away from
Maybe
campus.
that's somebody
Yeah,
defending
and thanks
themselves. I
to
don't know.
Garrett
I did see
Harvey
that.
for this video, and they apparently are somewhere up high, but you can see those students running across the street. A very, different scene from what we've been seeing within the past hour. Things
Right.
have calmed down, and now we're going to go to Cody Butler, who is talking to someone live right now.
Yeah, I was in class and it was about 1 o'clock and the shots rang out and we were like, is that construction going on or what was happening? And so we got up, looked out the window, and I remember looking outside and hearing 5 more shots go off. And I was like, what's going on? So I saw kids running away from the student union, and I walked away from the window. Then I walked back to the window and heard 6, 7 more shots ring out. And at that point we were like, okay, there's a shooting going on. So we ran from our classroom, went to the offices, locked the doors, barricaded ourselves in there, and then we waited and was looking out the window again and saw the SWAT teams pull up, the police cars, the FBI come, and at that point we were like, okay, we got to bunker ourselves in. And we were praying. We're like, okay, something's got to change here. And the SWAT team came into the room. They're like, stay where you are, don't move. And we were in there for about 30 minutes. And at that point, we were escorted out. About 100 SWATs were inside the building, and our hands were up. And so then we were escorted outside past the union and then into a safe space.
What was going through your mind when all this was unfolding?
Yeah, I was completely in shock. I didn't think this could happen at Florida State. I mean, we're a pretty safe campus, but yeah, this is just like unheard of to me. I never been in a school shooting before, active shooter. This is like first time for me, and I was honestly in shock. My hands were shaking. Just adrenaline kicked in. I really didn't know what to do. I started tearing up. Just like I was scared, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you just saw, you just heard the shots. You didn't see anything.
Yeah, I didn't see the shooter, but I saw the kids running away. I heard some screaming. Yeah, and the shots, like 3 rounds of like 5 shots, and then 7 shots. So it must have been some back and forth going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and how are you doing now?
Good. I've recovered a lot. A lot of people have been texting me. People from out of state, University of Michigan friends have been texting me. People from South Florida have been texting me. People from high school have been texting me. Doing a lot better. It's been a great community that has surrounded me since then. I definitely didn't think I'd be traumatized as much as I have. Definitely not being on the scene, but being kind of away from it. But yeah, it's been scary. So I'm doing a lot better now. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Is there anything that you wish would have happened differently?
Yeah, no, I think the police responded very quickly. I think they did a great job. Yeah, I don't really know what could have happened. Maybe there's more police presence at certain areas for there not to be a shooter. I mean, I think that's just like the most obvious thing, but yeah.
All right, anything else you want to add? Anything maybe missed?
No, that's great.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What was your name?
I'm Cody.
Cody.
All right, so that was our Cody Butler out there on the scene on campus. Cody is on the intersection of Dewey and Tennessee Streets. And so as you heard, that was a student who talked about hearing those gunshots and being afraid at the moment.
Shocked and traumatized. He said, I didn't think that this could happen at Florida State.
Well, just moments ago, our reporters on scene talking to a father of a Florida State student who has been talking to his daughter, who is a freshman.
And since they first heard about the scene, now Michael Price, also a local pastor. Now here's what he had to say about hearing the news earlier today.
My daughter is a student at Florida State University as of January 6th of this year, true freshman.
Wow. So, what's going through your mind right now?
Oh, we got a call from my daughter before it hit the news. We've been on the phone with for over an hour ever since. As a father, my wife's in the car and a mother, we are concerned for our daughter, but at least we're talking to our daughter and know that she is safe. Our hearts and prayers and minds are to anyone who's possibly had a child or a relative who's been injured or possible loss of life. And as a new pastor here in Tallahassee at the Bethel AME Church family on Orange Avenue, I am praying for our city and for the Florida State University community.
Very, very scary times for parents right now, trying to figure out if their children are all right. You know, this gentleman here, a pastor here in Tallahassee, was on the phone with his daughter.
Right.
She, alerted him that something was going on. I mean, a very traumatic and harrowing day for the students, for the parents, as we try to learn more about what exactly, happened this afternoon there.
Right. And that pastor, as scary as it was to be talking to his daughter about something like this, he said at least he was talking to her.
Right.
Very powerful words. He's just grateful that his daughter is alive and that he's able to talk to her. And of course, his prayers go out to those who have been affected. At this time, the latest update we've gotten is 6 victims in regards to this shooting on FSU's campus. Right now, we're told 5 are in serious condition, 1 in critical. So that's the latest update we've gotten from Tallahassee Memorial, who officials there say they have been taking care of the victims from this shooting, and they are prepared to deal with anything that may come their way.
Yes, they are in communication with first responders and really just, asking everyone for their patience, and they will give updates as soon as possible. And of course, our Allison Posey is there as well. We're going to check in with her shortly and see if she has any updates on the victims as well. We've got Jacob Murphy, who's on the scene at Woodward and Tallahassee, Cody Butler. They're just talking to people and getting their firsthand experiences and trying to get the most updated information possible for us right now on the scene, not only from, people who are there, but also from first responders.
That's right. And we also have our Stacey Inez, who's there on the scene. She's staged near the area of the student union where this happened. And she was standing there, showed us video of Moore Auditorium and talked about students being escorted out of the building, by the law enforcement officers. They're escorted with their hands up. Everyone came out calmly, safely. And she did mention that they came out about 6 or 7 at a time. So I'm sure that that's some type of organized way, law enforcement, some kind of system they have. But she witnessed the students coming out, and you could see the evidence markers on the ground in the union area, clothes, all types of things. So all of our crew members, at least 4 crew members out there right now, are still trying to gather new information.
And we do know that there is a student reunification center at the Tucker Civic Center. We saw buses taking those students in a very orderly fashion. They were getting on the buses. The buses were taking off there from the Woodward and Tennessee intersection, I believe it was. And I think they may be going to that reunification center to make sure they can check in with family.
Right, and this is live video right now of still showing the students out there. This is where they were lined up, had those buses there. And I guess they're probably waiting on more buses to come back so that they can bus them away from the area as well. But it's been interesting, hearing people talk about their experiences and what they saw and heard. And we'll hear some more right now.
Yeah, state lawmakers, Florida Attorney Generals, James Offmeyer saying we are praying for the entire FSU community and our first responders.
And now we have Pam Bondi, our AG. She says the FBI is on the scene at Florida State, and we are in communication with agents on the ground. Our priority is the safety of everyone involved. We will keep updating as we learn more, praying for all. Again, that's from AG Pam Bondi.
And then we've got Representative Neil Dunn. My team and I are monitoring reports of an active shooter on FSU's campus. It is too early to understand the extent of the violence, but early reports are very disturbing. Follow all local guidance, shelter in place, stay safe. Thank you to our brave first responders for responding to the situation.
Yeah, so several different lawmakers. The governor has put out a statement, different representatives and very different lawmakers putting out this information, and all expressing concern and saying that their hearts and prayers go out to everyone affected during this time. Scary moments, you know, since this all went down at around noon today. That
So it
first
sounds like
alert
we
came
don't know
out,
much.
and we've got word
I
that
put
there is a
the
suspect in
Fox
custody, but
News
again,
behind me
no
on
new
also. They've got a
information,
live
no
stream
details on who that person is or why.
saying the same thing. Six
We have a statement
victims
from
here
President
you're
Trump.
seeing on my
Thank you
screen.
very much,
It
everybody.
says
I've
6
been
victims,
briefed
one in
on this
critical
Florida State University,
condition.
Tallahassee active
It's
shooter.
only saying 6
Yes, it's an
injured on
active
Fox
shooter, fully
News.
briefed as to where
No
we
word
are
of
right
any
now. It's a
deaths.
shame,
Again, I've heard as
horrible
many as
thing,
4.
horrible thing. Things
And I
like
also
this
heard
take
there was
place,
more than
and
one
we will have
shooter.
more to
So
say about
you know
it.
how it is at the beginning of these things. The information is
Definitely,
really
everyone
sketchy and it's
keeping
not
an
very
eye on
consistent.
this, you know,
But I'm going to
people
leave this
here
live stream on here
locally,
for now, guys.
statewide,
I'm
and
not
of
going to
course
have a whole lot of
nationally.
input because I don't
A
want
lot
to
of people
obviously bother you
are just
guys.
hoping that
But
everything ends up being okay.
we really don't have any
You know, people on
details right
campus
now.
still sheltering
Certainly
in
no
place.
motive,
Person I was
certainly
having
no
conversations with
description of the
earlier
person.
is still sheltering in place, waiting for
You know
police
that when we
to
find
give
out
that
what the
safe
description
choice
of the
that they
person is,
can
we're
be
all
safe
going to probably have the
off
same
campus.
old,
But certainly first
it's going to be
responders,
the
you know,
same
we
stuff.
heard
You
from
know it
students.
is.
They
You know it
were,
is.
you know,
So
doing a
I'm going to
great
put it back
job
on these
and to
ladies.
make
And
people
this
feel
is
really,
the
really safe.
local
Everything has
affiliate
been
in that
done
Florida,
in such a
Tallahassee
way, in a
area.
very
So that's why
organized
I
way.
got that. A
So
lot of
to
times they're
make
closer
sure
to it and they
everybody
have
gets
better
off
and
campus
faster
safely.
breaking
Yeah, and that's great to
information from them.
hear. We still haven't gotten word on an all clear yet. So even though there is reportedly a suspect in custody, they still want people to follow directions, stay away, shelter in place, or follow any directions they may give you. But again, we have not gotten an official all clear just yet. So we are keeping our eyes and ears open. We have 4 crews so far out there on the scene, and we will definitely keep following this to give you the latest updates as they come in.
And the latest from TMH, where Allison Posey is, 6 victims, 5 serious and 1 in critical condition. And she is certainly monitoring what is going on there and trying to get the latest updates for us from TMH.
And Jacob Murphy and Cody, they've been talking to people out there on the scene for a while now. And we're about to check in with Cody right now, who's at Dewey and Tennessee Street. Cody.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of students and families come to this intersection just trying to figure out what is going on. We've been, they're trying to, hang on, and try to figure out what's going on in Robbie right now. And they are, some people are walking back towards campus. They're being escorted. It looks like that they're university employees here right now. We've been here at this intersection for about 2 hours now. We've seen busloads of students going to the Civic Center for the unification process that's happening again at the Civic Center. We're also starting to hear from state leaders. Governor Ron DeSantis posted on X earlier today that our prayers are with the FSU family and state law enforcement actively responding. We have FHP, we have Highway Patrol, FDLE, and FWC are here, as long with the Tallahassee and FSU police as well. Speaker Daniel Perez, who is a graduate of FSU, is also offering prayers with students. He says that this is a parent's worst nightmare. Prayers are for students, families, first responders, and all involved. And State Representative Gallup Franklin, he represents Tallahassee in the Florida House. He says in a statement that he stands with students, educators, families, and neighbors during this time of uncertainty and grief, and that schools and universities must be places of safe learning and not fear. And once have the full details of this heinous act, we must act with purpose and urgency to prevent tragedies like this from happening again. I've talked with parents as well here, and they've also brought up the gun issue as well. And it's something that we've seen kind of play out this legislative session. But again, we are still working on trying to figure out what exactly happened. And I'm sure lawmakers are paying attention at the Capitol an hour away as they are in the second half of the legislative session. So we'll see if this shooting sparks any new legislation out of that. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Cody. You know, as you can see, still so much going on that, you know, he's still trying to figure it out himself. But we are constantly monitoring the situation so that we can get the latest updates.
We certainly are. And I know that we have Zach Dahlheimer here in studio with us right now. Zach, what do you have for us?
Yeah, hey, Ava, Lenitra, as this is a very fluid situation, we want to put in a perspective as to where this is all happening. A lot of law enforcement have been all afternoon so far. So to put in perspective where this is at on campus, when we're talking about the student union, the Oglesby Union is right in this vicinity of FSU's campus. So this is Tennessee Street, North Woodward Avenue. This is pretty much on the north end of campus. This is one of the busier ends of campus, very populated area. The Union has a lot of food, restaurants, coffee shops. This is a place where students come to study. Of course, this is towards the end of the spring semester, so a lot of students getting ready to wrap up the semester, maybe getting ready for exams. But if you could see here, also, I've been talking to a lot of sources on campus, professors. They've been saying some students, of course, were in class at the time when the alert went out around 12 noon. You have some other classroom buildings. Primarily, these classroom buildings have a lot of first-year, second-year students, maybe with classes, those general education classes, one of which the HCB classroom building, the Strozier Library, which, of course, many here within the Tallahassee community very familiar with what happened 11 years ago on campus in 2014 with that incident taking place there. But you see a very heavy populated area of campus with the active shooter situation happening earlier today. But of course, a lot of activity happening. One source told me, a professor said that students were telling them that they actually saw law enforcement and people running all around this general facility of the Union, right around HCB, the Bellamy building, of course, right around here. This has a lot of public policy, social science, political science classes as well. As you can see right here, some video we're getting in. You can see these are people running across West Tennessee Street, which is in the area of right around where the Oglesby Union is. And I know that I was a freshman at Florida State many years ago. This is an area, of course, right in this here. You have the library, some classroom buildings, a very heavily populated building, an area on campus when this situation unfolded earlier this afternoon, Ava and Lenitra.
Wow, thank you so much, Zach, for breaking all of that down for us. Some scary moments. I actually just got word from a friend who knows someone up there and talked about the describing running and hearing the shots and even being nearby one of the people who got shot. So very scary moments for so many people in our community.
All right, we are going to check in with Jacob Murphy, who is at Woodward and Tennessee right now.
Yeah, Ava, we've been here for about 2 hours now at this intersection of Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue. A lot's been going on in the last 30, 40 minutes. Primarily, the evacuation, it appears, of students. They've been walking up the hill from Woodward towards Tennessee, and then I'd say maybe half dozen or so FSU buses, including, I believe, some Star Metro buses arrived to take these students away from campus. We're not entirely sure where those students were coming from and what differentiates them from the other students we've seen just leave campus on foot. But that has been happening, I'd say, the last 20, 30 minutes. We've seen maybe 100, 200 students evacuated. I've been here at the Co-Cathedral, St. Thomas More, for most of the afternoon. It quickly became a safe haven for people rushing out of the student union. Of course, just across the street from me, rushing just for safety, and they ended up here at the sanctuary. I'd say about 2 or 3 dozen people have been inside the church's sanctuary all day, just trying to take a deep breath. Some of the workers here at the church, some nuns and the pastor there, priests, have been speaking with some of these people. You may have seen live on our air earlier this afternoon about a family that was from Tampa taking a college visit. They were inside the student union when the shots rang out. They said they were all getting different meals at different parts of the union. They were able to find each other in the chaos and get into a service elevator, eventually getting back outside and across the street. And we've seen that story a few times repeated from other students who were inside the student union. One student in the pottery class working on a pottery project was then told to evacuate. So obviously a lot happens inside that student union. There are a lot of different activities. And so a lot of different people, of course, would have been near those gunshots when they rang out. Right now, I will say one other note. For the first hour and a half that we were on site here, I believe it was one of the TPD squad cars just kept blaring its siren repeatedly. That is no longer happening. I'm not sure what that signifies, but I wanted to mention that it's a much quieter scene here now. And we're actually seeing a lot more students just right now walking across Tennessee Street, which remains completely blocked. So you cannot travel Tennessee Street. You cannot travel. Woodward is blocked right here at Carolina Street, just behind the cathedral. So that's the latest from right here. We're going to keep our eyes peeled for any changes, still swarming with law enforcement and students as well as faculty, but certainly a serious situation here. The air is thick. A lot of people here still stunned and seeking answers. But for now, we'll send it back to the studio.
Yeah, we're definitely still waiting on those answers. And that is interesting what Jacob pointed out, as far as we've been seeing a lot of students just walking by, but then there's the set of students getting on buses and being bussed away. So we're not sure at this time exactly what the difference is and where exactly they're going. We do know there is a reunification setup area at the Tucker Civic Center. So some people may be going there, and maybe that's why they need the ride to the buses. Yeah. But that is a place people can go to reunite with anyone they're looking for.
All right, we're going to take a look at this picture now. This was shared with us by a student that we talked to today. You can see chairs piled up against a door, barricading people inside a classroom during the active shooting scene earlier today. The students say this is from inside the Bellamy building. We did hear from a student who was inside that building. I actually got a text from one of them who said SWAT had evacuated them with their hands up earlier today. So he's at the Reunification Center.
Yeah, and just seeing that image of the chairs being pushed up against the door like that is just, just so sad to see. But it is nice to know that they were doing something, you know, and I'm sure when you're in that moment, you're like, oh my goodness, don't know what to do. And it's unfortunate. And I'm good at the same time, I guess, that many people are trained in what to do in these situations. And I'm sure that's one of the things they were taught when you're in an active shooter situation. So we see that they did take action to do something to try to keep themselves safe inside of that Bellamy building. So they had those chairs stacked up at the door in case someone tried to get in.
And many of those people still sheltering in place. The latest update from FSU was at 1:04. Says continue to shelter in place. Law enforcement is actively clearing rooms on the main campus. Law enforcement officers will use a safe word, which I will not say now, to confirm it is safe to open the door, but continue to shelter in place until law enforcement contacts you. And people have been texting and saying we are still sheltering in place. You know, they feel safe. They're just waiting to be safely evacuated from campus.
A really close friend of mine says that he has a family member still on campus. And so just scary moments hitting close to home, even for people we know. And so they're still on campus. And again, we have not gotten an all clear yet. So even though it has been a while since things have happened, and we have gotten word that the suspect is still in custody, but they want you to stay safe and follow the instructions of law enforcement when you see them.
All right, we're going to go to our Stacey Inez, who is on campus right now. Stacey, what's the latest?
Well, Ava, Lenitra, we're right outside of the student union, been here for a couple of hours now, and I want you to take a look at what we've been seeing. There's a lot going on. We've seen a heavy law enforcement presence, several different agencies from the FBI, Florida Highway Patrol, Tallahassee Police, just to name a few. Everybody is really all hands on deck here. We've seen them carrying large rifles, everybody going into the building in groups of 10 or so. I've also seen students coming out of the building in small groups with their hands in the air being escorted by law enforcement. And so we're going to give you another look at the scene, especially if you're just joining us right outside of the student union here. If you look over there at the Moore Auditorium, you can see that is where law enforcement have been staging for the majority of the time that I've been here. And then if we take a look across the lawn, you can kind of see some of the evidence that there was some sort of panic. If you look on the ground there, it looks like what appears to be clothing. And then even further over, we can see a shoe on the ground. There's another bag on the ground. Some people I spoke to say it was sheer panic whenever they heard the shots. Some people said they heard it, but just didn't see anything, but they heard people yelling and screaming. And from here, what I've been told, just a very emotional day, very unexpected, of course, but also emotions just high. People have been trying to understand exactly what happened and what we're dealing with here. Of course, we're still learning more as well, but you can see even right there on the ground, what we think is some sort of shattered glass. It's hard to tell from where we are. We are on the other side of the fence, just trying to remain safe and out of the way of law enforcement, but it does look like some sort of shattered glass. And actually, while I was standing here not too long ago, noticed a golf cart with a bullet hole in it. And I was told by someone nearby that the shooter did shoot over at that golf cart before possibly shooting some other people. So a few people have been out here who have seen the entire thing. Just undescribable, really, is what people have been telling me. And you can see what we're seeing from our vantage point. And of course, we're going to continue to learn more. We're going to continue to talk to people. Still a lot to unfold. And so many people that I've spoken to today just have the question, why? And at this point, of course, there's really no answer. But I'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stacy. She mentioned, the frantic being described by so many people. And as I said a few moments ago, I had a friend reach out to me, and he said his wife called him hysterical while she was running. So just so many scary moments for so many people. We've heard from fathers out there talking about their children and even being there. And so just very scary. And of course, that question of why, why is this happening?
Yeah. And at least the good news, AP reporting that the shooter is in custody. Is that correct? That's what they had said?
Yes.
So that is at least hopefully something that,
Right, but we still haven't gotten the all clear yet. So they want you to shelter in place and still be safe. But yes, we have been told a shooter, the suspect, is in custody. We don't know any information about them just yet. Hopefully we can get that information. Maybe law enforcement will release some details. I'm sure they're still working on things themselves. Things take some time in these types of situations right now, but we do not know who the suspect is and why this happened. But again, they want people to stay safe, shelter in place, and anyone who's not in that area, do not go in the area. The roads are still blocked for much of the area, and there is that reunification center. So if you need to go anywhere, that's where you can go to try to reunite with any loved ones or look for someone you may be looking for.
And that's at the Tucker Civic Center. Our Allison Posey is at TMH, so we will get the latest updates from her. And we are going to toss right now to Cody, who is at Dewey and Tennessee Street, rather, and get the latest from him. Cody?
Yeah, Cody, what can you tell us at this time?
Yeah, Ava and Lenitra, it is still a very active scene here where there are still a ton of Florida Highway Patrol vehicles here as well. However, I have started to see some emergency vehicles leave this area quietly. Fire trucks, ambulances have all left this area recently. We've also seen bus loads of students go by here, presumably to the Civic Center for the Reunification Center. Now, again, this shooting is like all other school shootings, getting attention across the country. The president had put out a statement recently that he is monitoring the situation. lawmakers are about a mile away from here at the Capitol for the legislative session, and they are putting out their statements as well. Governor Ron DeSantis posted on X earlier that his thoughts and prayers are with the FSU family and state law enforcement. Speaker Perez, who is a graduate of Florida State University, says that this is a parent's worst nightmare, and they're continuing to monitor the situation, urging the thoughts and prayers for students, families, faculty, first responders, and all involved. Representative Gallup Franklin, the Democrat that represents this area, he issued a statement saying that he stands with our students, educators, families, and neighbors during this time of uncertainty, of grief. Schools, colleges, and universities must be places of learning and safety, not fear. Once we have the full details of this heinous act, we must act with purpose and urgency to prevent tragedies like this from happening again. So yeah, this is definitely something that a lot of people have not expected. I've been talking with students as they walk by this area. Many of them were in buildings near the student union when the shooting happened. They heard the gunshots. They were on lockdown. They saw the chaos outside their window as police were trying to kind of get the situation under control, and they are shaken up. We've seen a wide range of emotions. We've talked to one parent who's in constant contact with his daughter as soon as the shooting started, and he was said that his daughter was calm when she was inside, then they got moved outside, then her anxiety picked up, that she went back inside. So a lot of emotions here at Florida State University as they try to figure out what happened here today. And again, the police say that they have the shooter in custody, and that there are several victims being treated at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. Back to you.
All right, Cody Butler reporting from campus. Abby and I stepping in now to carry you through the afternoon. We're getting new information about what's happened on the FSU campus this afternoon. Certainly alerts started going out, and it's one of those things you receive and say, is this really happening? Is this a drill? Today it is not a drill. People have been injured, and you can see just panic and frantic people everywhere on FSU's campus.
The students that we've been talking to throughout the afternoon saying just how scared and surreal this whole thing is. And of course, talking to the parents, trying to find their kids and being reunited with them. We actually want to go right now. Just moments ago, President Donald Trump was speaking on the situation in Tallahassee from the Oval Office for the very first time. Let's give that a listen.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later.
And that is President Donald Trump addressing the mass shooting at Florida State this afternoon from the Oval Office. Clearly, we continue to receive new information about what's happened, and a lot of people have a lot of questions. We're hopefully awaiting a briefing later this afternoon from local law enforcement to share additional details. But what we can tell you is that at least 6 people are injured, including one of them critically there at TMH right now.
And we do know that there is one person in custody at the moment. Even though there is a person in custody, the FSU campus is still on lockdown. We have several people who know people on campus right now, and they've been sheltered in place for at least 2.5 hours. And so while someone is detained, it seems like law enforcement are going building by building to just make sure that everyone is safe as they let people go.
And we've heard from people here in the newsroom all afternoon that are continue to shelter in classrooms, in workout rooms. This is an alert that was sent out by FSU not long ago. It says, continue to shelter in place. Police have responded to an active shooter call at the student union. Stay alert for more information. So we continue to hear from people who are saying, is it safe to go outside yet? But FSU has made it clear that everyone is to stay put for now, and that they will be individually knocking on doors to allow people to leave when it's the appropriate time.
And again, you know, we have lots of people on the ground on the Florida State campus right now. Jacob, Cody, Taylor, they've been talking to people all afternoon who, you know, unfortunately, these things are happening more often. And the students are saying, you know, the training that they've received throughout their years kicked in that day. And they talked about, you know, putting chairs and desks and things in front of the doors and just doing their things that they needed to do to try to stay safe as they were receiving those alerts about the active shooter on campus.
And all the things that you learn, all the things that you train for, but never, ever, ever
Yes.
expect to have to use. Those helping folks today get through this. This is live video right now, just outside the Union. You can see plenty of crime tape there surrounding the entryway and lots of law enforcement. There are many agencies there, local and federal and state, on scene. They've been looking at evidence that's there outside the Union, on the lawn there, on the stairwell there. And you can see that it's a heavy police presence there as they try to gather information about how all this unfolded. And the stories that people have shared who are actually inside the
Yes.
Union when the shots rang out are truly surreal. People saying, you know, I heard 10 or 15 or 20 shots, and it took a minute to realize what was actually happening. And then one father who was actually here in town with his children for a tour of campus was in the Union with them at the time this unfolded. And he described everyone trying to get out, but doors were locked. And so they ended up in a service elevator. And he said, we didn't know what we would find when those doors opened. Thankfully, there were officers there that helped them get to safety. And he said at that point, adrenaline was high and everyone just ran. And we've heard from many, many people who ran to a church across the street to seek shelter. And I've been talking with parents this afternoon whose children are on campus, just frantic to get them home and know that they are safe.
And if you are maybe looking for a loved one, they are advising people to go to the Tucker Civic Center. That's the Reunification Center. And again, that's if you're looking for someone, that is kind of the designated meet up place to do that.
And so we've been hearing from different folks as they've been interviewed across campus today. Stacey Inez is right there at the Student Union, and she's been able to share more details with us. Or Allison Posey is at Tallahassee Memorial. They've been sharing quite a bit of information as this has unfolded this afternoon. The latest word there was that they have 6 people there, 5 of them seriously injured, 1 of them critically injured. And we're waiting for word, continued updates from the hospital, as well as TPD. We understand will be holding a press conference soon to share more information.
All right, we're actually, the father that you were just talking about, Julie, we're actually going to play some video from him that Jacob took earlier in the day. So let's see what he had to say about today's events.
Here with my twins to get a tour to campus and business. We were at the business school. We had just finished up unbelievable tour. It was just a great day. And we had another tour scheduled at 1 o'clock. And we went inside the Union to get lunch, and we went downstairs, and shots started ringing out, and it was terrible. Yes.
You were kind of spread out, getting different lunch.
My daughter was waiting at the table. We were looking at the menu, and I couldn't believe it. Like, shots started, it was surreal, and people just started running. She got trampled over. We went through an exit door, ran down a hall, and all the doors were locked except one going up a flight of stairs to exit. And we didn't think that would be a good idea, but there was about 70 of us or 50 of us in that, and we were just like trapped, like
So when
felt
did you
trapped.
get out of the Union?
We went in the service elevator. There's about 50 of us in the elevator, and we went upstairs. And that was probably the scariest point, because we didn't know, could get worse, right? The doors open, and 2 officers were there, guns drawn, yelled, "Did you see anything?" We're like, "No." "How do we get out?" They pointed that way, and just the adrenaline. We got outside, and just here we are. We ended up in a church across the street here.
What was
been
that
here.
moment like when the four of you were here and you knew you were safe?
Just like
Relief.
nothing you've ever felt before, or you could even explain. It's hard to explain. I mean, just we're just blessed. I mean, how we got out of there, I can't. You know, it's kind of surreal being at the church because God was watching over us. I mean, definitely we could have went really bad. I hope all the people pray for their families and that they're okay. We don't know much right now, but
The tone of all those interviews, again, you see just everyone just taking breaths in between sentences, just as it's kind of washing over them. That disbelief, the disbelief of what has just happened, is kind of what we're seeing and hearing throughout all of this. And of course, the shooting today having a ripple effect on our school district, Leon County School District. They went on lockdown for a time, but now, as of about an hour ago, Leon County Schools saying that they are back to normal operating procedures. The lockout has been lifted district-wide. And again, this is just for Leon County schools, the Leon County School District.
That's right. And, you know, one of the things, too, is that there are so many parents out there who've been able to contact their children via text or via phone or via email or however they've been able to connect with them. But we also need to recognize that there are some families out there who are getting terrible news and who are probably on their way to FSU right now if they're not here already. And a lot of parents, you know, thousands and thousands of students come to Tallahassee from all over the state and all over the country. And so parents everywhere, you know, I'm sure that's their first instinct is let me get there, let me hold my child and make sure that they are safe.
Absolutely. We do want to let you know, again, we do want to let people know that on the FSU campus, there is still that lockdown in place. So their students, if they're sheltered in place, are told to do so until law enforcement clears the building because of today's shooting. Take a look at that. FSU is canceling all events for today and tomorrow. Take a look at that. Athletic events also in Tallahassee canceled throughout the weekend. We are also receiving word on Dylan FAMU as well. Is that correct? FAMU is canceling classes for the rest of the day today.
Absolutely. And, you know, this is such a close-knit community that people who grew up here go to our hometown universities. And so this certainly is sending shockwaves across our community today. Again, at least 6 people injured in this shooting at FSU this afternoon. Appears to be at the student union, perhaps inside, perhaps outside, perhaps both. We're waiting for more information on that. Our Allison Posey is live right now at Tallahassee Memorial with some information there. Allison, fill us in.
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, we checked in with you guys about an hour ago, and nothing has really changed since then. We reported then that 6 people have been taken to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital here. 5 of those are serious. 1 is critical. We are at Southern Medical Group. It's kind of behind Tallahassee Memorial at the corner of Medical Drive and Surgeons Drive. So behind the hospital, a little bit away from the ER. So here, not a whole lot going on, kind of business as usual. But again, 6 people have been taken to TMH. 5 of those are serious. 1 is critical. We have confirmed that no victims have been taken to HCA, Capital Regional. So all of those victims are here at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. And Abby, you read it a minute ago, but I just want to reiterate, Florida State home athletic events are canceled through Sunday at Florida State. Virginia was set to be at baseball. That 3-game series was supposed to start tonight at 7 o'clock. It was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Softball was hosting Georgia Tech. That series was supposed to start tomorrow. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. But Florida State did release a press release about 40 minutes ago. It says all Florida State athletics home events through Sunday, April 20th have been canceled. Further updates on events scheduled for next week will be communicated when available. So right now, Florida State, all home athletic events are canceled through Sunday. Again, we're live at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital right behind TMH. Again, no change in status from when we checked in about an hour ago. 6 victims are here at TMH. Again, 5 serious, 1 critical. No victims have been taken to HCA. So everybody injured, all of those are gunshot wounds too. We did confirm that. So all of those victims, all 6, are here at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. We'll check back in when we know more.
All right, thank you so much, Allison. And again, FSU Alert just putting out a minute ago another emergency message, again, telling people to continue to shelter in place. Law enforcement is actively clearing rooms on the main campus. Law enforcement officers will use a safe word, which we will not use, but they will use a safe word to confirm that it is safe for you to go out.
That's right. And this is critical. We've been talking with people who are sheltered in classrooms, people who are sheltered in weight rooms, people in classrooms all across the campus, and they've been waiting for this knock on the door and for this safe word to know that they can actually leave safely. Not too long ago, the students who had left the Union and had left campus, they were actually put on buses and moved away from campus safely. So you can imagine that a lot of people probably had to just leave their belongings and run. And so, you know, the shock of this day continues and will continue. And a lot of people are anxious for answers, most importantly to know that people that they love and care for and work with are okay. But also they surely want to know who did this and why they did this. And it's just, that's a frustration too that we've heard from students, like, why does this happen?
Exactly. All right, and Julie was just talking about that just a minute ago about students who were, you know, actively leaving the student center, getting put on buses. We're told that they are being taken again to the Civic Center. That is the Reunification Center. So if you are looking for someone or wanting to connect with someone, you might check out there. That is where those students are being currently bused.
And we are getting word that in addition to our local law enforcement, FDLE is on scene. As you can see, there were troopers there assisting as well. But the FBI is here. The FBI office out of Jacksonville has a team here to help investigate. So this is really kind of an all hands on deck from here in Florida at FSU this afternoon. And we just mentioned the president, of course, briefed on this shooting not long ago.
And our Stacey Inez is literally right outside of the student center, and she was talking with people who were there when it happened, and said, you know, all of a sudden people just started running, and it just kind of was they said a mass stampede, and even if people who were just walking up, they said, you know, the screams and people just running, and you could kind of see that through some of the things, the debris on the lawn, like you were saying, still there as they were just trying to get to safety.
Absolutely. And one of the people that we spoke with, one of our crews spoke with, was at the student union at the time of the shooting, and described 10, 15, 20 gunshots. So everyone anxious to learn more about what happened inside, what happened outside, how many shots were fired, were there targets for this shooting, or was this a random act? It's a lot of really important questions to answer in the next few hours. But of course, you know, right now, the number one priority for everyone involved is making sure that students are safe and will be able to safely leave the spots where they've been hunkering down and hiding since this happened early this afternoon.
And also the students that we talked to say, you know, they saw after this happened, the law enforcement presence was pretty swift, getting on campus, starting to, you know, get students to safety, making their way. And again, the campus is on lockdown, as it seems like law enforcement is going building by building and clearing those buildings out to make sure everyone is out safely.
Right, and that's such a critical step. I know it probably seems like an eternity for the people who are there waiting, and also for their families and loved ones who are waiting to see them. But it's a critical step to make sure that these rules are in place for a reason, and that once you get that all clear, you know you can feel confident about stepping outside of the classroom and reuniting with your loved ones. There is a reunification center right now set up. It is at the Civic Center, the Tucker Center. Families are able to meet students there. And so this is something that we're going to be seeing throughout the afternoon as these students are cleared. Many of them, I'm sure, will head there to meet their families.
Well, and one of the students, I think Jacob was talking to, said, you know, I was in my class giving my finals presentation, because I was telling you before we got on air, there's like 2 weeks of school left. So they, you know, this is for a lot of the students and professors and staff, this is kind of a stressful time, but also looking forward to a joyous, celebratous time with graduation coming up and things like that.
Absolutely. That end of the year is so critical, right, for the work and the exams and the finals and all those things, but also a lot of great expectation for the summer ahead. And so you can imagine on campus. You know, the feeling there for so many people that this has happened just before the end of the school year.
All right, now we wanted to take a look at some sound. Is this from Jacob, do we know? Is this the father that Jacob was talking to? Okay.
My daughter is a student at Florida State University as of January 6th of this year, true freshman.
Wow. So, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, we got a call from my daughter before it hit the news. We've been on the phone with for over an hour ever since. As a father, my wife's in the car and a mother, we are concerned for our daughter, but at least we're talking to our daughter and know that she is safe. Our hearts and prayers and minds are to anyone who's possibly had a child or a relative who's been injured or possible loss of life. And as a new pastor here in Tallahassee at the Bethel AME Church family on Orange Avenue, I am praying for our city and for the Florida State University community.
And yeah, I mean, the heart in that interview is tremendous. You know, at least we're talking to our daughter and we know that she's safe, but he is well aware, as are we, that there are families who are not getting those phone calls today whose children may have been injured or worse, right? So that we're still waiting for word on all of that, and we hope to have an update. We've heard 4 o'clock, but you know, things are so fluid right now that may or may not happen exactly on time, right? We want to make sure that they're able to make sure all the students are safe and do the things they need to do on campus before updating us.
All right, well, take a look at your screen right now. This is a picture that was shared with us from a student that we talked to today. As you can see, it shows chairs piled up against a door, barricading people inside their classroom during that active scene earlier today. The student that shared this photo with us, Nicholas, says this is from inside the Bellamy building. And again, one of the people that one of our reporters talked to said they even at one point, they tried to move the heaviest things that they could in front of the door, and they tried to move the podium, but they said they couldn't because the wire, obviously it was tethered to the ground. But, you know, they were putting everything they could against the door like this photo so they could stay safe.
Right, and the Bellamy building isn't far away from the student union. You know, you can see that building from the union itself. So terrifying moments, a lot of people hearing the shots and seeing the people running, and you can only imagine what must have been going on in classrooms all across this campus as students, as you see, were piling chairs and barricading themselves inside.
Our photographer, Sam Thomas, is near the Moore Auditorium right now. That's kind of where near Stacy is too, and says that he's seeing, you know, forensic is out there photographing everything. Actually, this is Sam right now, our photojournalist, Sam Thomas. As you can see, law enforcement right there, marking evidence, photographing evidence, lots of crime scene tape in that area. That's outside or near Moore Auditorium. You can see the crime scene tape behind them. Just being very, very thorough as this investigation is still very in its early stages.
Absolutely, and they have a lot of work to do. Can you imagine the number of witnesses who were in the student union when this happened that they may need to speak with, and the amount of evidence from the number of people who have been injured that we know of, the detailed work that has to go into documenting all of this over the next 24, 48, et cetera, hours. So tremendous work ahead for the law enforcement on campus as they try to make sure that they have the best information and the best evidence going forward.
Absolutely. And again, as we've been talking all afternoon, there's still a lot of questions that we have that we're waiting on law enforcement to, to have a press conference later this afternoon, just trying to figure out what exactly happened. Why did it happen? Who was all involved? We don't know if these people injured, we don't know if they were all students, professors, a mixture of both. So hopefully in the later hours, we're able to answer some of those questions.
That's right. And there are reports that there was one shooter, but of course we don't have that confirmed ourselves. So we'll work to confirm details like that to make sure that you are getting, absolutely quotable, accurate information about what's transpired on the FSU campus this afternoon. Let's go ahead and take a look. As I mentioned, the FBI is also on scene. This is from Kash Patel. He says, my team and I have been briefed on the tragic shooting at Florida State and our FBI Jacksonville team is on the ground assisting. We will provide full support to local law enforcement as needed. Please keep the FSU community in our prayers.
And that is one thing that we do know. We have a very faithful community, a large community that is, we know at this moment, praying for everyone involved, praying for the students, because again, they just tell us, you know, this scary moments, disbelief that this is happening.
Absolutely.
And so again, our community is really coming together and thinking and praying for everybody involved today.
Absolutely. And, you know, these are the things that you see on TV, right? That never seems to happen in your hometown, and you pray it never happens in your hometown. But today it has happened here in Tallahassee. And I can tell you the texts that, you know, I've received and people in our newsroom have received from friends and family all over the country asking, are you safe? Are you safe? And we interviewed one student on campus with the same thing. He said that he's hearing from family and friends from all over the country, just checking on him, making sure he's safe. You can bet that that is happening 100,000-fold today as people check on people they love here on the Florida State campus. And this is a live look right there on Tennessee and Dewey Streets. So the McDonald's would be kind of behind you, and the Student Union would be kind of catty corner across the street to the right. So that's kind of where he is right now. All we see in this video so far are law enforcement vehicles going by. So I think pretty safe to say that that road is still blocked off around the FSU campus. They want to keep people away from there while they continue to investigate and make sure that students are safely released from their hiding places. Well, there are some other cars. So we'll see. We'll try to check on that and find out if the road is indeed open or not. But best to stay away. There's a lot of people there and a lot of people trying to leave campus as well as they're released. So, you know, best, I think, if everyone kind of steers clear and lets people work and lets people leave safely.
Absolutely. FSU alerts, just telling people again, if students need assistance, they can go to the Tucker Civic Center. The university is providing counseling there. If any students, staff, anyone needs counseling, you can go to the Civic Center right now. Also, they are saying, you know, to students and staff and everyone, if you are safe, please let your loved ones know your status. That's right. Very, very important.
That's right. That's so critical too. And it helps make sure that if anyone is missing in this, right, that people would know. So really important message there. And we do have some new video coming into us. This is outside of the Student Union. You can see that there are officers there in gear, full gear, bulletproof vests and rifles. This is the scene on the walkway outside the Union. There are items there in the grass, what appears to be clothing, what appears to be a shoe. You can only imagine as people were running, dozens and dozens and dozens of people running from the scene, things that may have been dropped there. So a lot of work to do on the steps of the Union, inside the Union, outside the Union this afternoon.
Well, now you were talking to FSU Alerts also saying, speaking of the Student Union, you know, as that unfolded, kids, you know, dropping things, just leaving and going.
Yes.
They're asking that students do not return to the Student Union to try and retrieve any of their personal property at this time. They can return to their residence halls, but they should just stay indoors and just kind of avoid the main campus right now to let law enforcement do their job. So if you know anyone who is in the Student Union and may have left something, they're just saying, you know, just for the time being, just leave it there while law enforcement is able to do their investigation.
Right. And you can imagine there's probably backpacks and computers and phones and all kinds of things that were left as people fled for their lives. And, you know, the important thing is that they are safe. The belongings is you deal with that later. So, you know, I know it may be stressful time. They mentioned finals, you know, in this at this time, and the class is wrapping up for the semester. But what matters is that you are out safely, and they ask that you stay away from the Student Union and not come to try to retrieve those items right now.
Absolutely. And again, just to recap kind of what we know at this point, we do know that there are 6 victims from a shooting event that happened at FSU on campus. I think the alert came out a little after noon. And we do know that those victims are at TMH right now, 1 critical, 5 serious. And we do know that 1 person is in custody. that's kind of the information that we've known for a while right now. We don't really know a lot of new information. We do hope that we learn more during a press conference within potentially the next 45 minutes to an hour. Hopefully we'll learn some new information and we can pass that on to you.
Absolutely. And the press conference this afternoon coming soon. We understand that that law enforcement will be there, the mayor will be there, and others to share with us the information that they can about what has happened today on FSU's campus. And of course, this is sending shockwaves across our community and across all those Knoll families that are spread all across this state and all across this country. So, you know, you are not alone. I hope that you're tuning in. I'm sure there are people watching us on the stream from all over the country today, trying to get the latest information and trying to stay connected with their children who may be here studying.
And we want to send it out now to our Cody Butler, who joins us now from Tennessee and Dewey Streets. Cody, what do you have for us?
Yeah, right now here at Tennessee and Dewey, Abby and Julie, things are a little calmer than what they were earlier. I've started to see some emergency vehicles leave this area quietly, and they are been out here for hours, just like we have as well. And we're also hearing from our delegation in DC here from Florida, as well as here at the Capitol, just a mile away from here. Rick Scott said that he's praying for the safety of everyone at FSU with the swift recovery of those injured, and that his team has been in contact with law enforcement in this area. Senator Ashley Moody has also been in contact with the leadership here at FSU and offers her prayers for the students and first responders. And Representative Gallup Franklin, State Representative Gallup Franklin, he represents Tallahassee in the Florida House of Representatives. The Democrat says that he stands with our students and educators, families, and neighbors during this time of uncertainty and grief. Schools, colleges, and universities must be places of learning and safety, not fear. Once we have the full depth of this heinous act, we must act with purpose and urgency to prevent tragedies like this from happening again. And I've been talking with students as they've been walking by through here, and they have a wide range of emotions right now. We've seen people crying and hugging each other. We've heard from people that were inside neighboring buildings to the student union. One student I talked to was in the library. She was in the hall talking on the phone when all of a sudden a bunch of people ran up the stairs by her, and then she just followed the crowd, not knowing what was going on. And then she said that they started barricading themselves on a floor in the library. They called the elevators to their floor, put the tables in the door of the elevator to keep the elevator there, and then they blocked the doors with tables. She said it was pretty chaotic, and she felt some sort of peace through all of that. Another student I talked to say that he was in class and he heard the gunshots and saw the chaos outside the window, and then they went to an office and locked themselves in, and then it was a SWAT team that came and got them and escorted them out, and he saw a bunch of SWAT teams in the building. We've seen state police here, or state highway patrol, FDLE, Florida Wildlife Commission, as well as local law enforcement here at FSU as well. So again, it's still a very fluid situation here at Florida State University. Still a very large police presence here, as well as we wait to get more answers.
Oh my goodness. All right, Cody Butler right there on the edge of FSU's campus. I just got a message too from a friend who works at the university letting me know she's home safely. So we're so thankful that people are being released and allowed to reconnect with their loved ones, whether that's at home or whether that's at the Reunification Center on campus. We also have gotten an updated message from the hospital, and they are talking about their trauma care team and the care that they're providing for the 6 people who are injured, 5 of them seriously, 1 of them critically. And they said, out of respect for patient privacy and to ensure the accuracy of information, we will provide updates as appropriate. So when they do provide us with additional details, we'll be sure to share them with you.
Absolutely. Now we want to send things over to our Zach Dahlheimer, who's going to kind of put it into perspective about where exactly on campus, if you're not necessarily familiar with Florida State's campus, about where the events unfolded today. Zach?
Yeah, Julie, Abby, thank you for joining us, all of you, whether you're tuning in or streaming us. If you're outside of the Big Bend and South Georgia area, as Abby just mentioned, if you're not familiar with Florida State's campus, this is the general area where our crews and law enforcement have been all afternoon. As our Cody Butler just mentioned moments ago, it is a very fluid situation. Undoubtedly one of the most populated areas on campus. The north side of campus, where the Oglesby Union is, right here at Woodward Avenue and Tennessee Street. The Oglesby Union having a lot of restaurants, coffee shops, places where students can go study, work on, study for those exams, which are coming up at the end of the semester. This is also a time probably when prospective students are maybe doing tours on campus looking at Florida State. So this is a very busy time for Florida State with visitors and current students. But you can see Oglesby Union right here near the intersection of Tennessee and Woodward Avenue. We have a library and some classroom buildings to the west of Oglesby. But if you go here on Google Earth, we're going to go ahead and show you here. We have quite a bit of classroom buildings. HCB classroom building right here. This is one of the big classroom buildings on campus. I remember being a first-year student here at Florida State. You have a lot of undergraduate classes, first, second year general education classes. A lot of students typically around this time of year are in this building, especially around the time when that notice went out by FSU officials. HCB classroom building, Bellamy building. In fact, a professor that I was talking with earlier this afternoon was telling me they saw that they were speaking with students who saw law enforcement running around the area of Bellamy, HCB, Oglesby, right around the time when all this was said to be taking place. But Bellamy is where a lot of you have those public policy, social sciences, maybe perhaps political science classes being held. And then, of course, the Strozier Library, Landis Green, popular places on campus for students to go study as well as work on classwork too. So this is really the general area, Abby, Julie, that this here is said to have been taking place, or just a lot of this alert was going out. So again, one of the more populated areas on campus, but just a real fluid, evolving situation. As we're expecting to get more updates from authorities in several minutes from now. So.
Yeah, and Zach, and as you mentioned, if you haven't been inside FSU's new student union, it's multiple floors. There are open stairwells there. There are little study spots. There's a area where people can get food. So it is a huge congregated area. I have no idea how many people were in the union at the time this happened, but you can bet it was, dozens or even hundreds of people in that building at that time of day. So
well, and also probably too outside. It's such a beautiful day. Kids outside enjoying, studying outside, things like that. Thank you so much, Zach. Now we want to go back out to our Jacob Murphy. He is live across the street, I think, at a church where a lot of students have been going. He joins us now live. Jacob, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it's been a surreal afternoon here, Abby. I'm going to step out of the camera shot here and just show you the current view of the intersection of Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue. It's been shut down for now over 3 hours. Of course, the student union just down the hill. And right now, I'd say it's a pretty static situation. FHP, police, FWC, they've all been here. The road remains closed. If you pan to the right, you'll see the FSU Seminole Express buses right there. They've been loading students onto these buses for the better part of an hour now, and then shipping those buses down Tennessee Street with a FHP escort every 15, 20 minutes. We haven't seen a group of students come out here in the last 15 minutes, I'd say, but there are still buses waiting perhaps to ship more students off of campus and somewhere towards the east. Now, as you mentioned, we have been here at the Co-Cathedral of St. Thomas More all afternoon here. They've become really a refuge. The pastor, Father Tim, tells me that, he heard the gunshots and then he saw lots of people start running across from the Union, across Tennessee Street to, the literal safe haven that is the cathedral. And there's been about 15, 20 students come and go the last couple hours here, getting solace from the nuns and the other workers here, and also the staff on site here. Now, they do have a pre-scheduled 7 o'clock mass here at the cathedral, and the staff here tell me they still plan to hold that mass here at 7 o'clock tonight. They said there might be a large crowd. It may turn into more of a vigil or perhaps a memorial or just a chance for the community to come together. But we've heard a lot from people here about what it was like to be in the student union as shots rang out. Some parents with their kids on college tours, of course, lots of students, lots of employees. As you guys have been saying, there are so many activities and functions that union serves on campus. So we've been up here perched on the hill, a bit far away from the actual site where the crime scene tape is up, but still lots of action, and we'll keep you posted on any new developments, any new sites we see. Of course, still very active, but we'll send it right now back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Jacob. For those of the Christian faith, with Easter coming, today is Maundy Thursday, so a lot of services, around our area taking a little bit of a different tone, and a lot of prayers going up from the shooting that happened today.
I was going to say, I'm sure those prayers will be said in churches across our community tonight and all across the state and across the country for what's happened today. And two, you see those buses moving students off campus. What you may not realize, the main purpose is get everyone off safely. But there's a massive parking garage right across the street from the union. So students aren't, the point now just to get them off of campus and home safely, and we'll deal with the cars and the backpacks and the computers and all the things left behind on a different day.
Absolutely. Now we want to send things out to our Stacey Inez. She's been right outside the area of the union for hours right now. Let's head to her with what's the very latest. Stacey?
Well, Abby and Julie, you both were mentioning about how massive the student union is. And I actually took a tour of this building when it first opened. And part of what I've seen, students had to come out in groups, small groups, maybe 6 or 7 students at a time with their hands in the air. They had to be escorted off. And periodically we would see more students. On the other hand, we saw dozens and dozens of law enforcement officers from several agencies, the FBI, Florida Highway Patrol, Tallahassee Police, FWC. I mean, we've seen so much partnership among the different agencies, everybody carrying these large rifles with them as they march around the student union. I can tell you, though, we've been out here for hours, and at this point, it seems like the tension has released just a little bit in terms of the law enforcement presence. So we've been showing you each time we've joined you about the staging area over there at Moore Auditorium. You'll notice now there's hardly any officers there. We saw several of them filing out. And actually, if our photographer Sam can come this way, we see someone putting out more evidence markers right there on the ground in front of that SUV there. We have seen forensics as well, what appeared to be forensics. They have also been here taking photos of some of the evidence. You can see the evidence markers appear to be in her hand, and that is an area that we saw officers marking earlier as well. And if you can take a look across the lawn, we can also see some of the clothes that are on the ground. Just signs of panic is how I can describe it, because you see there, it looks like articles of clothing. We can see a shoe on the ground there. We see some other bags, maybe something that might have been dropped when all of this was happening. Several people I've spoken to just say they are in disbelief at what is going on. People have been standing out here with me for hours. People who work in these buildings have not been able to go back into the building. They haven't been able to leave this area. People just questioning why something like this has occurred. And as you can see there, it looks like the FBI also joining with some of the other officers there. Several different agencies, as I mentioned, have been a part of this effort today, and you can look around and just see exactly what we've been dealing with. Looks like more officers there. From my vantage point, again, we're on the other side of the fence, so it's a little hard to see from what I'm looking at, but you can see more teams of law enforcement coming this way. Of course, a lot of emotion when you talk to some of the students and the staff, talking to people who just can't seem to understand what exactly unfolded here. But we have been here for several hours, and I can say at least now it does seem like there has been a little bit, just a little bit, and I use that word so lightly, of relief from this vantage point. Of course, we'll stay here and we'll continue to keep you updated on what we're seeing, what we're hearing from students and people who have been on this campus since everything unfolded. But for now, Abby and Julie, I'll send it back to you guys.
And Stacy, you know, that's one of those images to see people coming out with their hands up
Yeah.
after something of this magnitude. It's one of those things you'll
Yeah.
never forget seeing.
And again, we do want to let you know, as Stacy was saying, you know, this has been going on for hours right now, and still FSU is still saying for anyone who may be sheltered in place to continue to stay sheltered in place, that law enforcement is, and as you saw, actively going to building to building. There are hundreds of buildings on campus.
That's right.
And so they are going room by room and trying to make sure that everyone gets out safely, and they have everybody accounted for.
That's right. And they do have a safe word that we're not
Yes.
sharing on air, but you know, people that are in those rooms, in those classrooms, in those labs, wait for that knock, wait for that safe word so you can be released. And if you're just joining us, I think it's important that we reiterate the shooter is in custody. The shooter is in custody, and at least 6 people have been injured, one of them critically. So we'll continue to check for updates from Tallahassee Memorial, where all of those victims were taken this afternoon. Right now, we do want to check in. Our Taylor Viles is on campus for us this afternoon, and he had an opportunity to speak with a student about what they saw.
I mean, it's disgusting. There's no words for it. You know, having to text back and forth and call your friends and, you know, make sure that they're okay is probably one of the worst feelings ever, because you don't know what they're going through at that moment, and it's gutting, is what it is.
Is it something that you thought you would ever have to deal with here at FSU?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I remember being in my 7th grade English class in Indian Ridge Middle, 15 minutes away from Parkland when that shooting happened, and now this happens. I mean, and like, you know, you grow up and you do these shooting drills all the time, and it's now we experience it again. It's this is not how it should be at all, you know, and this is what we're doing. It's normal in a certain sense, and then you walk in there and you feel the vibes from all of the students in there. It's tragic, is what it is. It's genuinely like a disgusting feeling that you cannot, there's no feeling that is like this feeling. There's no sort of comparison to it. And this is what, you know, we have to feel when things like this happen. I keep dealing with it as if it's a normal. And, you know, like, this is when things like this happen constantly, and then there's no change around it, it ruins our future. You have friends that get affected by it. You have to grow up constantly knowing that this is happening around you and no one does anything about it. How do you reason with that? I have to go back to school tomorrow, right? I have to go, and my friends who were actually there when this happened have to go back to school tomorrow, and as you know, act as if this is okay and it's normal, because it is normal now. It's genuinely our normality, and there's nothing being done to change that, it seems like, because we've been doing this for years upon years. This campus is a 2-minute walk from the Capitol. A 2-minute walk. I could walk to the Capitol right now. And I think if I were to ask those senators how they feel about this, they'd probably say thoughts and prayers. It's sad. But this is the type of stuff that they're allowing. It's not sane. It's not how it should be. It's not even close to how it should be. You can't do this constantly, but it's what we're doing. And that's not how that should be at all. It's not normal. It's not normal. I shouldn't have 100 misread text messages asking me if I'm okay on a school campus. He shouldn't have to worry about that. She shouldn't have to worry about it. None of these people here should have to worry about that, but that's what we're dealing with. And it's disgusting is what it is.
Boy, so much anger to people trying to wrap their heads around what happened and why it's happened and why it keeps happening. He says it is gutting. It is not how it should be at all. not even close.
And he's not the only student that we've talked to that has shared that sentiment of this should not be normal. We do have an update from the FSU alert system saying that all Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees, let me see, actually that.
Yeah, they essential employees should check with their supervisors for more information.
That's not, it actually updated on us right here. Here's the text that we want to let everyone know about. Law enforcement has neutralized the threat. This came in at 3:17. This is according to FSU Alert right now at 3:17 p.m. So not even 10 minutes ago, law enforcement has neutralized the threat. Please avoid the Student Union, Bellamy HCB classroom building, Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Hecht House, and Caraway, as they are still considered an active crime scene. Individuals are free to move about other areas of campus. Individuals who have witnessed anything of value, there is a phone number, and we'll put that on our website. That phone number is 850-891-4987 for anyone who saw anything about today. 850-891-4987.
And that's so important for you to share if you did witness anything, if you saw this gunman. Those things are really important to share. And you may think there's other people sharing this information. They don't need to hear from you. They need to hear from you because you may know something or have seen something. That's really important. And I think, too, that this alert gives you an idea of the scope of this crime scene. The student union, it's a half dozen or more buildings. So it's not clear whether this gunman was in one place or perhaps came from another building or how all of that may have unfolded. But I think this text gives you a glimpse of how complex this crime scene is. And there are a lot of answers that a lot of people will be waiting for, and they certainly want to make sure that they're able to provide those answers and provide them accurately as soon as they can.
And there is that phone number right there for you to see on your screen. If you did see anything, as Julie was saying, please let law enforcement know. Give them a call at that number you see on your screen, 850-891-4987.
And also we wanted to reiterate too that students who need assistance, need counseling, need medical care, any of those things are asked to go to the Civic Center, and there will be people there to help you. And that is also where families can go if they're trying to reunite with students who may have been on campus at the time. So a lot happening right now, and our main priority is making sure that everyone leaves that campus safely today and everyone is reunited with their family and friends soon.
And we do want to let you know the Tallahassee Police Department has just updated us and said there is a press conference tentatively right now scheduled for around 4:30 this afternoon, so a little over an hour. Hopefully we'll be able to get some more answers to these questions that we have of exactly what unfolded today, what happened, why did this happen? So again, tentatively around 4:30 that should take place.
And certainly if you're on social media, there are all kinds of videos circulating on social media as well. And we're hoping that we can share with you only confirmed information. So important that all of us have accurate information in a situation like this where things are unfolding very quickly and people's lives are on the line.
Absolutely. And as again, if you are just joining us, we've been at this for almost 3.5 hours now. A shooting at the campus of Florida State University, 6 people, 1 critical, 5 others injured, all at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital right now. We have crews staged all over. We have a crew at TMH. We have lots of crews on the campus trying to get you the most accurate, up-to-date information as we are able to bring into our newsroom.
And the shooting happened at a very busy time, lunchtime right there, and in a very busy, very popular building where students congregate, not only to grab a bite to eat, but to study. And there are multiple floors there. And so, there conceivably could have been hundreds of people in the student union when this unfolded. What's not clear to us just yet, too, is whether this happened inside the union, outside the union, or both. And based on that last text from FSU, if there are other buildings that may be a part of this scenario as well. And we do know that people are still, we've heard
Yes.
from a colleague who is still sheltering in place in Bellamy, which is right across the way.
Okay. Throughout all this, as soon as this happened, of course, lawmakers across our state and the nation weighing in today. You can see a statement from the U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who used to be the Attorney General as well of Florida. The FBI is on scene at Florida State, and we are in communication with agents on the ground. Our priority is the safety of everyone involved. We will keep updating as we learn more, praying for all.
We also have a senator from Florida, U.S. Senator Rick Scott. He says, praying for the safety of everyone at FSU and a swift recovery for those injured. My team has been in touch with local law enforcement and continues to monitor the situation. Students should continue to follow directions from school officials.
Senator Ashley Moody, my office has already been in contact with school leadership about the tragic reporting on FSU's campus. I am praying for the safety of the students, faculty, and all first responders involved.
And so we're hearing from leaders all across the state and all across the nation. And we've been getting calls in the newsroom from students, from faculty, from families across this country who need to know, want to know what has happened at Florida State this afternoon. So crews working on scene. You've seen the videos from Sam. You've seen the videos from Stacy. There are dozens upon dozens of law enforcement officers on campus right now doing a very important job trying to piece together what happened and should there be a criminal case going forward, making sure that they have all the evidence and all the witness statements they need.
Well, and like you were saying a little bit earlier, you don't think it's going to happen in your backyard until it does. People, even our own colleagues, we know so many of our own colleagues here who have kids at Florida State and making sure that we're calling them and we were texting them like, have you heard from your son? Have you heard from your son? Just a scary day for so many people in our area.
And this is a scene, Tennessee and Woodward. This is just a block or so away from the student union. From where this vantage point is right here, the student union would be down the hill to the left of where this video is being taken. And as you mentioned, like we all know, we all have in this community friends and family that are either go to school here or work here. And there's an absolute panic that happens when you get an alert from anywhere that says active shooter, take cover, stay safe. It's inexplicable. When I got the text today, I was almost like I put my phone down and then I picked it back up like, oh my gosh, like this is really happening. And, of course, ran out the door to get here as quickly as possible. But people checking in with family and friends and colleagues all over this city as we pray that they are home or will be home soon safely today. We also recognize that there are families who are receiving much different phone calls right now who may have someone that they care for who has been injured today. And certainly our prayers go out to you, virtual hugs go out to you. This is just unimaginable. And it's really heartbreaking to see it continue. You never think it's going to happen in your hometown, but it does. And it's maddening and it's heartbreaking.
Well, and you just think too, of course, at this time on college campus, we're getting close to finals. We're getting close to graduation. Kids so excited and happy for what's to come. They work so hard and getting ready for that day of celebration and for all this to happen. As you're seeing in a lot of these kids that we're talking to, they're angry, they're sad, they're scared, and that's coming through.
And this is the season too, where all people are taking their graduation photos at Westcott or splashing in the fountain, doing all the things to celebrate the work that they have done on campus this year or throughout their college careers, and to see something like this unfold at what will be such a joyous couple weeks ahead. So difficult, no good time, but this is especially painful for so many who will be leaving campus on this note.
Absolutely. All right, so we do want to let you know, if you are maybe just getting home from work, if you're just turning on your television, we want to let you know that we are following a breaking scene on Florida State's campus where an active shooter situation has injured multiple people, law enforcement flooding onto that campus. That situation going on FSU's campus. We got the alert to seek shelter. The students did around noon today, saying that there was an active shooter situation. Students and staff sheltered in place while law enforcement arrived on scene.
Yeah, and we have confirmed with TMH that 6 people were injured in the shooting. 5 of them are in serious condition and 1 is critical. They have said, respecting patient privacy, they will try to update us with accurate information as soon as they can. The Associated Press is reporting that the suspected shooter is in custody. We are trying to learn more information about that person, how many shots were fired, why they were fired. So many unanswered questions right now, but on the screen, that is what we do know and we can share with you. If you're just tuning in, whether that's here in Tallahassee or if you have a child here on this campus or friends, family, you may be streaming us all over the country today. This is what we know right now, and we're committed to stay on the air until we can share more information throughout this afternoon.
And about, I would say, probably 15 minutes ago, FSU sending out an alert at 3:17 that law enforcement have neutralized the threat. They are asking that everyone avoid the Student Union, Bellamy, HCB Classroom Building, Rovetta, A&B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Haight House, and Caraway, as they are still considered an active crime scene. Individuals are free to move about other areas of campus, and they are asking if anyone saw anything from today of value, give them a call at that number you see right there on your screen, 850-891-4987. And again, they are asking, though, if anybody was at the Student Union and may have left items, things like that, do not come back. Don't come back to campus to try and retrieve those.
That's right. And you can only imagine, we heard from a father who was there and described, 50, 70 people running, people being knocked down, people being trampled as everyone was trying to flee at the sound of multiple gunshots at the Student Union today.
Absolutely. And again, Tallahassee Police telling us that they expect to have a press conference in about less than an hour, tentatively around 4:30 this afternoon. So hopefully we're able to learn a little bit more about how everything unfolded with the shooting today.
And I think we have some video now from Stacey Inez and Sam Thomas. They are the crew that is closest there to the FSU Student Union. You can see crime tape across the lawn, across the steps, and officers looking intently. That gentleman appears to be an FBI agent, looking intently at items on the ground. Moments ago, we did see an officer as well putting out evidence cones in the grass there. You can see in the distance, there's like a yellow flag. Sometimes it's like a little yellow cone in the grass that alerts law enforcement to potentially important evidence or information there. So a very active scene as they are trying to document everything that has happened. And from the latest FSU alert, it appears that this crime scene may be more expansive than we realized.
Yes.
And certainly they have a lot of reinforcements here in town, state, federal, and local law enforcement, all out there working together.
And again, state and national lawmakers, again, sharing their statements on the shooting. Of course, Governor DeSantis aware of what is happening, and today has said our thoughts and our prayers, are with our FSU family, and state law enforcement is actively responding.
And about an hour ago, President Donald Trump was alerted to the situation, was briefed on it, and this is what he had to say from the Oval Office.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later.
And that's President Trump speaking from the Oval Office a little over an hour ago. We do want to share, too, that Florida State has canceled all of its classes through tomorrow. They have asked employees to check in with their supervisors. Also, all athletic events. There were at least 2, I think, big baseball and softball planned for this weekend, visiting teams coming to town. All of that has been called off through the weekend.
And FAMU as well. They are also canceling classes for today. Their employees have the option of working remotely for the rest of the day. Students are advised not to go back to FSU's main campus if they were there.
Our Jacob Murphy's been on the scene for us all afternoon. He is stationed right there at the corner of Tennessee and Woodward, and the Union is literally a block from where he is standing. This is video that he captured as students are boarding buses this afternoon. Once they were released safely by law enforcement from the places where they were hiding, they were allowed to board these buses, and it's my understanding that the buses are headed to the Civic Center. So students can be reunited with their families and friends. And again, mentioning there's a massive parking garage right there, right beyond those trees, as a matter of fact. But nobody is being allowed to leave campus right now. So everything's, and they put them on the buses to get them safely to this Civic Center where they can meet with family and friends, speak with counselors if needed, get medical assistance if needed.
Absolutely. And again, their FSU is just saying, you know, if you are okay, please let your people know. Please let those that love you know. It's very important that everyone is accounted for. So again, please just let everyone know that you're okay.
Absolutely. And you can bet that they're waiting to hear
Yes,
from you.
they
I
are,
know
yes.
that the mom network was in full
Yes.
force on the way here. We were all checking on each other's children, some of whom were on campus today when this happened. So critical that you're there for each other right now and that you're communicating with each other, that you're okay. And it's just so unfathomable, you know, what has happened this afternoon. And we report on shootings across the country. This a live look right there, same spot, Woodward in Tennessee, the Student Union just down the hill to the left of where you're standing, from where this camera is standing. You can see that Tennessee Street busy, Tennessee Street still shut down this afternoon. Good 3 hours plus after this has happened.
Absolutely. And, you know, coming in on social media too, you're seeing the different law enforcements across our area, whether it's Thomas County Sheriff's Office, the Madison County Sheriff's Office, just thinking about the student staff at Florida State, the victims, their families, and of course, the first responders, as you're seeing in so many videos, the police presence and the amount of agencies on scene right now at Florida State is quite massive. And they're all there working diligently to make sure that they have all students outside of those buildings safely and are working to conduct that investigation. So hopefully we'll be learning more when Tallahassee Police host a press conference in about an hour.
That's right. And the latest alert from FSU indicates that there are certain, that main section of campus with the Student Union in Bellamy and the Rovetta building and all of that's such a critical area right now where they're doing investigative work to steer clear of there. They said you can move freely about the rest of campus, but not there.
Well, and Jacob is stationed where we're seeing he's stationed there, that church right there.
That's
and
right.
they said, you know, that they are going to host their Maundy, Thursday services because for people of the Christian faith, we are in Easter week, we are in Holy Week. And so being a very faithful community that we are, we know those services tonight will have a much different feel to them and lots of prayers will be going out for what has happened today.
Absolutely, at that church and churches all across this community. As people learn the news about the mass shooting at Florida State Student Union this afternoon, what we know, I know there's many of you who are joining us for the first time. What we know is that there was a shooting just after noon today. At least 6 people have been injured, one of them critically. A gunman is in custody, but we don't know much about that person. And we're anxious to get word. There is a press conference right now that's tentatively scheduled for 4:30, so in about an hour from now, and we're hoping to learn more information from that press conference. I understand it'll be law enforcement and city leaders as well, and hopefully it'll be able to provide a lot of the answers to the questions that so many of you are asking right now.
Yeah, just looking online, social media, of course, seeing lots of different things. You're seeing lots of different video. We're only going to share some things that we have vetted through us to make sure that you are getting accurate information. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on in social media right now, but you will see through us what is the most accurate, up-to-date information.
Well, let's go ahead. We have some new video to share right now. This was shared with us by Bryce Vance. It shows students evacuating after an all clear. You can see that they have their hands up as they are walking through that long hallway. I'm not exactly sure which building this is, but you can see they're walking slowly, hands up, in what must be the most terrifying day of their lives as they're exiting these buildings. FSU police tell us that they are literally going building to building, classroom to classroom, knocking on doors, issuing a safe word so that students know it's okay to come out.
Well, and that's what Stacy was telling us when she was outside Moore Auditorium, was seeing, you know, groups of 10, 15 students coming out in that same position with their hands up. And then, you know, as Jacob was showing us, and we've seen in the video, those kids being escorted to these buses that would then take them to the Civic Center where everybody is being reunited.
And the reunification centers, they are not only there to reconnect families with their children, but they're there with counseling should it be needed. And you know, when I think about that, I mean, this is something that's going to stick with every single one of these students for the rest of their life. This is such a traumatic thing. And my best wishes, it's so hard. I think one student expressed, you know, and then in a couple of days we'll be back to class, and it's not going to be normal. And this is something that these students will probably deal with and for the rest of their lives.
And so that's, you know, definitely the counseling services are available. So if you should need them, please, please use them. Absolutely. But again, if you are just joining us, in about less than an hour, Tallahassee Police expected to host a press conference telling us a little bit more about what's going on. This is a live look from, I think, Dewey in Tennessee right now. You're starting to see, as Stacy was saying a little bit ago, just a little ease on the tension. You're starting to see not as many law enforcement cars there. Again, the investigation is still very much in its early stages and underway.
And just to make sure you have your bearings here, this is the corner of Tennessee and Dewey. Behind you would be a McDonald's. In the distance there, beyond those big oak trees, is the student union. So that would be kind of like catty corner from where this camera is right now. You can see there are police officers and barricades there on Tennessee Street. There's also an ambulance in the distance as well. So we're not sure what that ambulance is there for, but we'll continue to keep tabs on that and continue to update you on what's happening on West Tennessee Street. I mean, normally on this time of day, any time of day, really,
especially
Tennessee Street swarming with traffic. Today, a much different day as they continue to process a wide crime scene surrounding FSU's student union this afternoon.
Well, our reporters who are sharing some pictures and video that we hope to get to you within the next, you know, minutes and hours, it really seems like they're walking around and it's just like blankets and books and coffee and a hammock, and you can tell what was happening, and then all of a sudden it just got left. So again, they're asking people, just don't go back to the campus today. You can get that stuff at another time as police are still investigating a very active crime scene in terms of the investigation.
Yeah, and you mentioned those photos coming in from our Madison Glazer, who's on campus, and there's literally a hammock there empty between two trees, a couple of blankets on the lawn. I don't know if this is outside of the library or outside of Westcott, a cup of coffee.
I think Westcott, she said.
And so, you know, we are blessed with such beautiful weather here in Tallahassee. You can only imagine how many students were out on the lawn enjoying not only the sunshine, but studying and congregating with their friends right there in the hub of campus today.
Absolutely. And again, they're still going through the student union, as you were saying, the new student union, so many floors,
Massive,
so many buildings that they'll have to go through one by one and make sure that, you know, everyone is out safely and start that investigation, because that's the thing. We don't know exactly what happened. Did it start indoors? Did it start outdoors? Is it a mixture of both? Those are answers we're hoping that we can get later this afternoon during a press conference with the Tallahassee Police Department.
And we will certainly get more information, but you know, the main questions, the things like why, those are the questions we may not have answers to for a long time or never. And I think that's one of the hardest things about shootings like this is, you know, you cannot find a satisfactory answer as to why.
Absolutely.
So we're anxious to learn more. The gunman is in custody. That we can share with you. FSU saying they have neutralized the threat. This is a live picture back at the corner of Tennessee and Woodward, the student union just down the hill from here. But Yeah, we're all anxious to learn more about who may have done this and why. And certainly we're anxious for updates on the 6 people who have been injured. We are sending our very best wishes for their recovery this afternoon.
Absolutely. Our Allison Posey is out there. She's been out there for hours now and says one's in critical condition, then the others are in serious condition. Again, we don't have a lot of updates right now. Hopefully within the next hours, we'll learn more about those victims.
And we've heard from witnesses describing the panicked moments within the student union. If you haven't been there, it has multiple floors. It has open stairwells. It has big glass windows. It has many spots where students sit and study or plug in their laptops and work on projects. You can see Jacob Murphy's been on scene for us all afternoon to share some insight. He's been able to speak with a lot of people who literally ran from the student union right up the hill to the church there. And described such a harrowing thing and what they called a surreal moment where they heard the gunshots, but they didn't, it took a second to realize that this was actually real and this was actually happening.
Well, and one of the people that I think Jacob talked to said he started to hear the ambulances, but normally if they get closer to campus, especially during, active school hours, they'll turn the sound off so it doesn't really create a disruption. But he said, but it kept going. The sirens kept going. And that's when they knew something was really, really wrong. And of course, then got the alert to shelter in place.
And the people are still sheltered in place to our understanding in certain buildings. We've had people sending us videos and pictures from where they are, including a room, I believe, right across the street in the Bellamy building that showed many chairs stacked against the doorway to barricade themselves inside. So this is the picture I was just mentioning from Nicholas. Thank you for sharing this with us of the chairs and the desks and things that they were able to pile up to blockade the door where they were sheltering in place this afternoon. You cannot imagine the emotion that must have been in that room, the conversations that must have been in that room, the fear, the confusion, the anger, so many things that these students must be experiencing in these hours of waiting.
And they were saying, though, it's sad that they've been trained for this. That's the one thing you're seeing a lot of anger coming from these students and saying it's sad that we've been trained for this, and it's sad that this training then kicked in. A lot of the students saying the same thing that you were talking about, Julie, like making sure they immediately started getting the heaviest objects that they could find. Even at one point trying to rip a podium from the ground, trying to get anything as heavy as they could against those doors, making sure they weren't near any windows and things like that, and saying this should not be part of our school training. So just again, a lot of emotion from these students, a lot of sadness, a lot of anger.
And the new FSU chief of police was just named a couple of weeks ago. He has been on the force there for some time, and I'm sure he was on the force for a previous shooting years ago. But all of this unfolding so quickly this afternoon.
We want to send it out now to our Brianna Shaw. She is at the Civic Center right now. That's the Reunification Center where people are able to go and reunite with their loved ones. Brianna, what have you been seeing and hearing since you've been there?
Oh, hey, Abby, I'm here as close as I could get to the Civic Center. I wasn't actually able to get inside or even in the parking lot. So again, as close as I could get, but I'm told there are hundreds of students inside the building. I'm going to take a step out of the way. There are some students and some family members kind of hanging out in front of the building. I'm told that inside, though, students are able to get some support services. They're able to get some counseling, address any healthcare needs they may have. And this is really the safe space, according to FSU officials. Earlier today, there were busloads of students that were taken here to go inside of the center. And just a few moments ago, I saw another bus pull up and there were a couple more students who got off the bus. So these students are being transported from campus to the Civic Center. And again, they're able to get some services from inside, again, healthcare, counseling, anything that they may need. And I was also told from a correspondent here that if they need a place to stay, they're welcome to stay here as well. So that's all the information I have for now. And again, family members, this is where they're able to come and pick up students who may have been on campus. So again, if you are, maybe looking for a student or anything like that, this may be a good place to see if they're here. I know this is definitely a lot to take in, especially for parents who have students here who attend FSU, not really knowing, what's going on. And of course, we're working to find out as much as we can here. But again, hundreds of students inside, and this is the safe space. This has become the safe space for those students to travel to who are coming from campus. I'm not quite sure if there are some other buses scheduled to come here. Things seem to be dying down right now as many people have already made their way inside.
Okay, Brianna, yeah, we certainly have seen the fleet of buses pulling out over the last few hours, and students there hopefully able to reunite with their families, or, as they're outside, perhaps calling a friend, getting a ride home, whatever it is that they need this afternoon. FSU did just issue another alert. Abby, share that with us.
It says, again, the following buildings are currently closed. And again, we've been talking about this because it's such a large area. These buildings that I'm about to mention are closed because they are still an active crime scene. That is the Student Union, Bellamy, HCB classroom building. You can see that right on your screen right now. Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Haight House, and Caraway. Individuals should not return to these buildings to try and get their property. Again, you're able to move freely about other areas of the campus, but those buildings that you see on your screen and the ones that I mentioned are closed. They are an active crime scene. Law enforcement needs to go through them, make sure everyone is out and safe. I know people want to go and get their stuff. Maybe your phone's in there, maybe your purse, maybe your laptop, things of that nature. You'll be able to retrieve that at another time. They just need to be able to go and do their investigation, make sure everybody is out safely. Also, you can see on your screen, they are asking if anybody saw anything from today's shooting to give them a call at that number on your screen, 850-891-4987.
Yeah, and it's always important. A lot of people think, oh, well, other people will call. They saw more than I did.
Exactly.
But just call, let them know what you saw. And, in this age, video is so critical as well. There may be people who have cell phone video. Maybe they were, filming something on the lawn, or maybe they were at a building and heard something and took some video on their phone. Certainly there's surveillance cameras throughout campus. So no doubt law enforcement will be combing through those videos. And if you have anything that could assist them in this investigation, maybe you captured something on your camera that could be important for them, they want to be able to see those too.
Absolutely. And even though we've been doing this for about 4 hours right now, and the threat has been neutralized, this is going to be an ongoing, we're just at the very beginning of their investigation. So as Julie was saying, if you saw something, if you have a piece of video that you took, please let them know at that number, give them a call, tell them what you saw or what you have, because nothing is too small a detail.
Yeah, this is, and so as they do their work, though, so critical to remember that there are 6 people who are hospitalized right now at Tallahassee Memorial, one of them critically injured. I have no doubt their families are rushing to Tallahassee if they are not here already, and we want to send our very best wishes for their recovery. This is a nightmare for every parent, but especially a nightmare for the parents of those 6 young people.
And again,
and if they are indeed, they could be employees or staff. We don't know, but those 6 people.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully maybe we will learn more about them during this press conference that's set to happen with Tallahassee Police Department, tentatively scheduled for around 4:30 today. Again, just everyone that we're talking to, I think just the entire community too. Everybody just kind of, you're right. Everyone just goes kind of about their lives, and we know these things happen, but you don't think it's going to happen here until it does. And there are so many people that today their innocence has been taken away, and there's going to be a lot of processing that has to be done in the days and weeks to come.
Absolutely. We also want to share some thoughts from Florida's Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, saying that we are praying for the entire FSU community and our first responders today.
Neil Dunn, our representative, Congressman, my team and I are monitoring reports of an active shooter on FSU's campus. This was from earlier today. It's too early to understand the extent of the violence, but early reports are very disturbing. Follow all local guidance. Thank you to our brave first responders for responding to the situation.
And we've heard from Stacy, we've heard from Jacob, we've heard from Sam. The magnitude of the law enforcement response is tremendous. Dozens and dozens, local, state, and federal. They are on campus right now. And Abby just shared with you that there's that area, that heart of campus right there. Most of those buildings are closed to allow them to continue to do the work they have to do. This is a live look from the corner of Tennessee and Woodward. You know, that Florida State University sign is right there on the corner. And if you go down the hill, the big, beautiful student union would be on the left-hand side. Just that building just opened a couple of years ago. It has multiple floors, very popular gathering spot for students on campus. You can get a bite to eat there. You can plug in and do your homework there, your studying there. Very popular meeting spot on campus where all of this seems to have unfolded today.
Well, and I think a lot of people too think it seems to be taking a long time, even though we do have a suspect in custody. But my husband works in law enforcement. He works for the sheriff's office here, and they train for these situations. They train for active shooter situations and what to do and how to go room by room by room. It is very methodical. They hope they never have to use that training. But today they did have to use the training, and that's what they're doing. And so that's why you're seeing that large presence, and that's why you're seeing it kind of go in a very methodical way.
And this is a live look outside the Civic Center. This is this is the Reunification Center. They're calling it at the Tucker Civic Center this afternoon, where students that are bused from campus are taken there. They're able to meet up with friends or family there to get home. They're also able to access counseling and perhaps medical services should they need them. But this is the hub of Reunification today. It looks like some folks there, their ride just showed up and they're headed out. So hundreds and hundreds of students, we understand, are inside the Civic Center right now.
And again, just let your people know where you are if you haven't already. As you were saying, there's so many people. We've talked to students that said they're getting text from teachers and their parents and extended family and all throughout as the nation really has their eyes on Tallahassee, the capital city of Florida right now, from the very horrific events that have unfolded this afternoon.
And we also want to share an interview. Dylan, who are we going to hear from? This is a student on campus just a short time ago.
I was in class when it happened. I didn't really see anything besides just what was going on around me. Everyone was just in a huge panic. Some people decided to leave. Honestly, I don't think that was the greatest idea. We barricaded and then we just waited. And then eventually we heard like a big knocking. That ended up being the police. They escorted us out to another building. But everyone, like anytime they heard like a noise, everyone would drop to the floor, sprint. It was just a scary experience. I was just thinking like all the scenarios that could play out. I was scared.
Have you been in contact with your family? What have they been saying?
Yeah, I called my mom. She was happy to hear from me. They were saying the same stuff. It's just like a crazy experience that is really unfortunate for everyone involved.
Yeah, I got a text on my phone. I was like, there's an active shooter. So I was like, oh, is this a joke? And then like he was like, dead serious, dead serious. So I went up and I showed my TA and I was like, we might want this was before anyone knew. I was like, all right, we might want to like do something about this. And then right as I like showed him, like the alarm started going off. And I was like, really? Then he was like, oh, we gotta do something. So I was like, all right, let's barricade the door. And we stayed there for like an hour or two. And then police came and escorted us to the Caraway building. I knew I didn't want to go anywhere, and I knew it would be a bad idea to like leave. So I was like, all right, like let's just barricade the door. I was just scared that it wasn't. I didn't know what to believe because I didn't hear any shots. I mean, the union's close enough to your shots. So I was like, I didn't know what was going on. So I was really just like wondering if it was true or not, and like if this was a false like alarm, and hoping that my friends are safe. All of a sudden, getting texts from my friends, texting my friends, really just waiting for police to come for us to be safe. It was just like I was like, wow, I really hoping like no one's really hurt. I'm hoping the police got him before he could get anybody, and really hoping he didn't come for us in our room, and like hoping that like trying to figure out where my friends were, hoping none of my friends are there, scared for my parents because I knew they're going to get a text and then they're going to be freaking out. So immediately started texting my parents like, hey, I'm okay, I'm in a building.
The big thing that I've been thinking about is like people sending around videos. I don't really think that's like a great idea. I mean, people lost wives, people lost their kids, their brothers. That's not something to joke about. So I just say be respectful of people's family members.
It's be respectful. It definitely makes me respect like the other events that happen more. It feels very real now. I would say like if you're ever joking about it, like please don't. Like this is very serious. Like sons, daughters, friends, like people have died today, and it's unbelievably sad.
Yeah, it does. It feels very real now, he said, and indeed it does. We understand at least 6 people shot today. All of them have gunshot wounds, according to TMH. These are officers right there outside FSU Student Union, placing evidence markers in the grass, on the sidewalk, as they continue to try to find out who opened fire and why today. We're not sure if this happened inside the union, outside the union, or both. And we're waiting for a 4:30 press conference this afternoon to try to get some more answers for you.
And to just hear that young man saying, like, not only was he worried for himself and his friends, but he was scared for his parents because he knew as soon as it hit social media that his parents, that fear, and letting him know quickly that he was okay. And as you know, we've been talking, unfortunately, there are families that they are not okay right now. And we're just thinking about them.
Absolutely. And that alert goes out, and I can promise you every parent's heart gets stuck right here when an alert like that goes out, whether you have children at FSU or not. That is the worst nightmare, to see a text like that and realize it's actually true and it's actually happening. So yeah, my heart goes out to all of those who experienced this traumatic event today.
And again, like Julie was saying, we're kind of waiting. There's still so many questions that we have regarding what transpired today. Again, we're waiting for a 4:30 p.m. press conference tentatively with the Tallahassee Police Department. We do want to send things back out now to that Reunification Center at the Tucker Civic Center with our Brianna Shaw, who I'm told is actually set to talk with a student there. Brianna?
Hey, Abby. Yes, I'm joined by Madison here. She's a junior at FSU. Now, Madison, I understand that you were on campus when that alert came out earlier saying that there was an active shooter. Kind of walk us through what that was like and what was going through your mind.
Well, one of the students in my classroom got a notification and my teacher just kind of stopped talking, and then a huge screen popped up on the power board and it said that we were under an active shooting threat, and my teacher didn't necessarily know what to do because she was from Canada, so she hadn't been trained in that before. So the students and I kind of just took over control of the situation and locked the door and closed all the windows and barricaded it.
And that's something we've been talking about throughout the day. You know, a lot of schools, they go through that active shooter training, you know, in a lot of public schools. And so just to hear, of course, you learn those skills and hope you never have to use them. But today, I mean, so powerful what you said, that you all have been through that training. The teacher didn't really know exactly what to do. So you all had to kind of take control of this situation as far as, you know, locking the doors, closing the windows and things like that. So you were on campus, you caught a bus here to the Civic Center. Talk about some of the things that you've noticed as you've been here at the safe space.
I think just a lot of people are really shooken up and just hurting, or maybe don't know how to feel, just because this is such a situation that you don't think you're ever going to really find yourself in, and it kind of just happens. And I think we're all just kind of in shock.
And for you personally, I know just a few moments ago, we were talking about how, you know, it doesn't even feel real. You know, it's just kind of hard to process. It's a lot to process. For you personally, what are some of the emotions that you feel right now?
I think just kind of in the moment, just going through the motions, especially when they were just knocking on the doors and you had to like have your hands up and everything. I definitely have not gone through an experience like that before. So I think I'm just definitely trying to process everything. But honestly, more than anything, just heartbroken for all the families and friends and students that have been affected by this awful tragedy.
And have you been in contact with your family and your parents yet?
Yes, my family is all in Colorado, so obviously they saw on the news first and they called me in very much of a panic, and just kind of letting them know that I was okay and I was safe in the classroom and that I would keep them updated.
So thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of students in your situation, as far as having parents who are out of town, again, the Civic Center, this is the place where students ought to go if they need some extra support, if they need healthcare services, if they need counseling services. Madison, I understand you're waiting for your ride. So this is also a place where parents, family members can come and pick up these students again here at the Civic Center. Thank you so much, Madison.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to you and Madison. You know, you can feel the emotion from her. Absolutely heartbreaking, she says. And there must be thousands of students just like her who are here from other states, from other cities, whose parents are reaching out and trying to make sure they're safe. It's just incredible the depth of this in the moments that we've been sitting here. I mean, text messages coming in from all across the country, everyone wanting to know, are you okay? So you can imagine parents of students everywhere, right? Watching this. If you're watching this stream from another city, another state, we are thinking about you, and we know that you're so concerned about your children here. And what a day! It's just it's unfathomable, really.
It is. You kind of talk about, as Brianna and Madison were talking about, like just disbelief.
Yes.
That just kind of feeling that you're just kind of going through the motions. It's very shocking. It's sad. You're going through all the emotions. You're just going through all the emotions. We want to send it right and out now to our Jacob Murphy. He is at a church that is right near the student union. Jacob, what can you tell us right now?
Yeah, well, Abby, just a few minutes ago at the top of the hour, as it does every hour, the bell tower here rung at St. Thomas Co-Cathedral. And, you know, it was that beautiful bell that you're used to hearing, but it had an ominous tone to it as it sits just across Tennessee Street from the scene that's still unfolding.
Corner of Tennessee and Woodward Forest all afternoon, and that's kind of been the main hub with the student union so close by. We are waiting for a 4:30 press conference to learn more about what's happened at the FSU Student Union this afternoon. And if you're just joining us again, their gunman is in custody. At least 6 people have been hurt, one of them critically.
I'm going to scooch a little closer to you because I don't have a microphone on right now. So we were in the middle of a shift change. So we're just going to sit a little bit closer right now. All right. So again, if you are just joining us, since about noon right now, actually, what are we looking at, Dylan?
So this is
FSU business.
This is video that was sent to us by Bryce Vance, presumably a student there. This is video of students leaving with their hands up. This is, we understand how the process works. Once you get a knock on the door and you're able to hear that safe word from authorities, they ask you to come out with your hands up and leave them up until you exit the building safely. So our thanks to people who've been sending us videos and pictures from campus this afternoon as we are all going through these hours together.
And again, just a reminder, buildings that are closed on campus, because again, this is a large area, lots of people probably, left obviously in a panic, their personal items still there. FSU is saying these buildings are currently closed because they are still active crime scenes. And that is the Student Union, Bellamy Building, HCB Classroom Building, Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Haight House, and Caraway. Again, they are saying, please do not come to this area. Do not try to retrieve your items. There's that graphic right there again, listing all the buildings that, again, are closed because they are currently still active crime scenes. And again, if you are not in that area, they're just saying, please don't really come to the main part of campus anyways. individual students are free to move about rest of the areas of campus. And again, they're encouraging anybody who may have saw anything to give them a call at that number you see right there on your screen, 850-891-4987.
Absolutely. And so many people, we thank everybody who shared their experiences with us today. I can't imagine going through something like this and having it unfold around you.
Yes.
And so many people willing to share their experiences with us today. So thank you for that. And certainly we're so thankful that that all of them are safe. And we're super best wishes sent to those who are at TMH right now.
Absolutely. And again, that first responder presence, all the students saying, you know, very swift, getting to campus, very heavy, lots of different law enforcement agencies, both at the local, state, and even national level with the FBI here. Again, very early stages in that investigation.
And some of the things that people have shared with us are just gut-wrenching. One student saying it is gutting. It is not how it should be at all. And you just heard from that young woman. It feels very real now, and indeed it does. These are things that you see unfold, you know, see them on TV. It's happening right here in our hometown of Tallahassee,
Well,
Florida.
even our Jacob Murphy talked with a family, a father who was taking his kids here on a tour of campus, and they were in the student center when all this unfolded, the student union, and just to imagine, like, this is, I'm sending my kids off into this world, and what that, you know, must be going through his mind, even knowing that he's safe, but having gone through that experience.
Absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier, we are close to the end of the school year, just a couple of weeks left in the school year, about 2 weeks, I think, for students. And so a lot happening on campus, a lot of people hunkering down and working on their finals and doing some serious studying right now, but also other people really enjoying kicking back on those blankets and in those hammocks and enjoying the beautiful weather here and the excitement of the end of the semester.
I am told that we have talked with another student now. Let's take a listen to what they have to say.
I started hearing gunshots ring off in a very rapid succession. I believe it, again, I didn't actually see the shooter, but from what I heard, it sounded more like an automatic weapon. And it was just absolutely horrific. And it's something I'm not gonna forget for a very long time.
Absolutely horrific, not going to forget it for a very long time. I promise you that what has unfolded today will stick with every single one of these students and their families for a very long time.
Absolutely. Several students that we were talking to going, you know, this should not be our normal. This should not be our normal. And talking about, you know, being trained in the era, you know, of Parkland and things like that, having training put into place now in the schools, in their high schools that they've grown up with active shooter training, and that training kicking in today. And as the gal that Brianna was talking to saying, you know, a teacher from a different country didn't really know what to do, but they were so trained that just kicked in, that they said, no, we need to start barricading the doors, get away from the windows, that sort of thing.
And I'm hoping that all those students jumping into action saved lives today.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
we're anxious to learn more about how all this unfolded. We do have our Jacob Murphy back. He has been right at the heart of it all today at the corner of Tennessee and Woodward. Jacob, fill us in what's happening right now.
Yeah, sorry about that, Julie. We've been out here broadcasting for more than 4 hours now, so we had to do a battery swap. But we're back here again. This is the Co-Cathedral of St. Thomas More. You can't miss it if you're driving down Tennessee Street here at Woodward Avenue. I mean, Tennessee Street's been as quiet as I've ever seen it, especially for the heart of rush hour. Both directions still blocked off. About every law enforcement agency you can think of that might have a presence in the capital city is here. We recently saw the FDLE crime lab vehicle pull up to go down Woodward Avenue a bit closer to the student union. But here, as I was trying to say before I was cut off at the cathedral, the bell tower did its normal ring at 4 o'clock. It felt very serene, but ominous at the same time. It's Holy Week, of course. They have their scheduled 7 o'clock mass this evening. I've been told by Father Tim, as well as Father Luke, they're not going to change that mass. That is still planning for 7 o'clock. They have the rehearsals going on right now. They welcome the whole community to this space tonight if they want to, again, 7 o'clock. But to our right, there's some students just trying to release some steam, some stress, some some students as well, just trying to soak it all in. We've seen a few families and student groups try to get back across Tennessee Street after FSU sent that alert that they had secured the campus and neutralized the threat. Even still, some FHP troopers and Tallahassee police officers were not allowing that to happen. I'm not sure if that's still the case. And then I'll also say we still see some buses pull up to the side of Tennessee Street here. Josh, if he's with me here, you can walk around the corner here. There's still one bus. We had seen a number, maybe hundreds of students filing into these buses, both Star Metro and FSU buses, to get away from campus. Probably within the last 90 minutes was the last time we saw a really big crowd of students get bussed out. And now we understand that was to get to Doak Campbell Stadium, where they're, the Tucker Center, I believe, to the Tucker Center, where they have resources and a support center set up for students. So it's still been a surreal afternoon here. A lot of people just kind of sitting in the beautiful sunshine, soaking all of this in. Again, not a lot of answers coming from this side of town. It's just above the hill, so we don't see a ton of the crime scene tape or anything except for this massive law enforcement presence here at Tennessee Street. We'll, of course, keep tabs on anyone that shows up. We've talked to a number of students and families here for a college visit who were in the student union at the time. Still just a harrowing tale of survival, of trying to reunite with family members in the commotion that was the student union apparently under attack by gunfire. So we'll keep you updated from here, but for now we'll send it back to the studio.
All right, thank you, Jacob. You know, as Jacob said, people now trying to, decompress. Hello, I'm Ava Van Balen.
And I'm Zach Dahlheimer. We appreciate you all staying with us. We're taking over for Julie Montanaro and Abby Walton, continuing the coverage of the situation, of course, the active shooter situation on FSU's campus. You just heard from Jacob Murphy. We have multiple crews, as Ava was just saying, in the field. Just a very, very fluid, sad situation just happening on Florida State's campus today.
Yeah, the word that's been used a lot is just surreal. It's just nobody can believe it actually happened here in our own backyard.
Yeah, and just to recap from what we know so far, we appreciate you all joining us, whether you're tuning in either on air here on WCTV or if you're streaming us on our WCTV streaming platforms, whether you're here in the Big Bend, South Georgia, or joining us from elsewhere. Here is what we know so far. The latest are 6 injured, 5 serious, 1 critical condition. The alert going out, as you see right there on your screen, 12:01 p.m., just after 12 noon, about an active shooter on FSU's campus. Students asked to shelter in place while police getting to the scene. Again, 6 people injured, 5 of them in serious condition, 1 in critical condition, and 1 suspect, according to a source with the Associated Press, in custody at this time.
That's right. And even though law enforcement has neutralized the threat, as they said in their alert at about 3:17, they want people to avoid that area, to avoid the student union, Bellamy, HCB classroom building, Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Heck, and Caraway. They're still considered an active crime scene, and people are free to move about other areas of the campus, but not anywhere near there.
Now, we do know, of course, and here you see right there more of the information Ava just provided. Another vital piece of information, the Tucker Civic Center, that is the Reunification Center for families, students. Florida State University, one of the major universities, of course, in the state of Florida, not just for families, students, young people in Florida, but all around the country. Many families, hundreds probably, reuniting with a very scary situation happening on campus. You can see right there on your screen the number. If you have not, please go ahead and call 850-891-4987. Anyone with information, go ahead, call that number. But again, the Tucker Civic Center is the Reunification Center for families. Anyone impacted by what happened today.
Absolutely. A lot of questions today. This has been an unbelievable situation. TPD is going to have a press conference. It is scheduled for 4:30. So we're looking forward to getting any updates from law enforcement that we can.
Yeah, and so in about 10 minutes or so, and there's been a lot of post unfounded information on social media. And so we are putting out the latest confirmed information, what we know so far. So stay with us here on WCTV. And we have numerous crews all throughout the field right now.
That's right. We've got Jacob Murphy. He's at Tennessee and Woodward there by the Student Union. We've got Cody. He's at Tennessee and Dooley. They've been there all day getting information, talking to people, you know, about what happened, what they saw, what they heard. We've got our Allison Posey, and I believe it's Ryan Kelly as well at TMH, monitoring what's happening over there. Madison Glazier is at the Turnbull Center. And then, of course, Taylor Viles is on campus. Okay, we are going to take a live look right now. This is where the press conference is going to be for the Tallahassee Police Department. It's at the Turnbull Center in just about 10 minutes. So we are waiting on that and really looking forward to getting some kind of more questions, answers about what happened today.
Yeah, Ava, as you just mentioned, it's still a lot of questions about what happened, about, of course, the suspect within this case, what led up to what happened today. You see lots of people filing into the Turnbull Center. This is the staging area that authorities have set up for today. So hopefully we can get a lot of answers from this afternoon. We know that quite a bit of law enforcement, we believe, are going to be here. A lot of local leaders within the community, we believe, are going to be here this afternoon, but that should be coming up in about 8 minutes or so. So as you see a live picture there from the Turnbull Center, just right by the Tucker Civic Center, which is that reunification center for families of all the impacted, anyone who's impacted from the active shooter situation today. And we want to point out too, the Union where this was all spotted and the alert went out. This was, of course, a very heavily populated, I would argue, probably one of the most populated spots on campus, especially this time of year. It's the end of the spring semester, probably a lot of students getting ready for their final exams. Tours undergoing right now. A lot of people going for campus tours, prospective students. The Union undergoing a lot of renovations in the last 15 years. So very, very heavily populated on campus. And you see right here, we're getting video in from just about an hour ago. Law enforcement, crime scene tape. It looks like the investigation underway. We believe this is from our one of our photojournalists in the field, Sam Thomas, I believe, bringing this in. Just a very surreal scene. Lots of FHP, and just what's supposed to be a fun time of year for obviously students getting ready to celebrate the end of the year. Just this very, very, very sad situation happening today.
A very sad situation. You can see there, you know, there's the crime tape, and then you see people's shoes, you think scattered on the ground, you know, the chaos that ensued this afternoon as people tried to get away from, you know, this shooter. And it's just the stories that we've heard this afternoon, they're so traumatic and so shocking that it is really hard to believe.
And lots of restaurants, study areas, libraries, the HCB classroom buildings, some of the buildings you were mentioning about that were closed, and authorities are asking people to stay away from at this time. Other buildings, Bellamy, Strozier, Landis Green, especially with the weather being so good right now, that's where people are outside enjoying the outdoors, especially HCB classroom. Being a first-year student at Florida State, that's where I remember a lot of those general education classes are held there. A lot of social science classes in Bellamy. So quite a bit of young students probably there. You see there lots of people running across Tennessee where the Union area is at.
That was probably right around when the alert went out. I guess about 12:01, somewhere in that time period.
Lunchtime probably.
Trying to get away. And we have gotten some video from viewers from at FSU. We're taking that, you know, and people talking about looking out their windows and seeing just all these people running and hearing shots. And one of the students said he heard about 17 shots.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've gotten a lot of video like that and kind of firsthand accounts of what happened. this afternoon.
Yeah, and I remember speaking with a professor too a couple of hours ago, talking about they spoke to students as well, seeing just the students seeing law enforcement just running around the Union, the Bellamy building, that central northern part of campus where all this was said to have been centered around. Just very surreal to see this taking place, especially on a major college campus, and it just makes you feel horrible that this is taking place too.
Yeah. And I had someone was texting who had sheltered in place. They were in a classroom and kind of just texting me through the whole thing. And you know, they knew to put the chairs up against the door, and they said they were safe, and they were getting the FSU alerts that were keeping them informed. And you know, they just were waiting for police to knock on that door, say what that safe word was, so they could be evacuated. But as of about an hour ago, I would say, he was still in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was, I guess they were just about to get evacuated, but I mean, it took a long time, and he didn't think he was going to be leaving campus anytime soon. They're being very thorough, they're being very careful to make sure everyone gets out safely.
Well, a lot of higher education academic staff, because I'll say, especially because I'm an adjunct professor at Florida A&M University, we actually just underwent training for active shooter situations, and that's part of the training. You hear run, hide, fight, learning how to, if you're in a classroom, knowing what to do in situations like that, how to respond when law enforcement get into classrooms.
Yeah.
And you see photos right there. It looks like this is within the Bellamy building that we were just talking about. You see all these chairs stacked up against the door, it looks like there.
Yeah. They definitely did the right thing, so I'm glad they do have those trainings. Someone I knew in the Bellamy building told me that they were as well in there. They waited for, I guess it was SWAT to get them out. They came out with their hands up and they were, you know, escorted out. And we are about 2 minutes out from that TPD press conference. You can see on your screen there, you know, students being let out. This is how they have to do it, with their hands up, to make sure that no one there is a threat.
And be visible, because
Yes.
especially if there's a law enforcement presence in the building, we're told in training, you have to make sure that you have open hands, be visible, and listen to the officer's commands, especially in situations like this. And I believe we were talking with one of our producers, Grace. This appears to be, I think, within one of the buildings in the FSU Business School from that building. But it's good to see that the training is taking place, and hopefully this prevented anything.
More lives being lost.
Yeah.
Absolutely. FSU is saying all university classes and business operations on that main campus are canceled through Friday the 18th. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. This was the latest update I got. Now, students that do need assistance, and we have mentioned this before, certainly worth mentioning many, many times again, can go to the Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling and healthcare and other support services. This is so important right now. Family members also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance as well in trying to process what has happened.
And if we could, as we wait for the news conference at 4:30, we could pull up that graphic, Dylan, on the screen showing the buildings that are closed at this time, or I think we have the information right here as well.
Yes, the buildings that are closed, they want you to avoid the Student, obviously, Union, Bellamy, HCB Classroom Building, Rovetta A and B, Moore Auditorium, Shaw, Pepper, Heck, House, Caraway. They're all considered active crime scenes right now. People are free to move about other areas of the campus. Now, if you did witness anything of value, they are saying this is from FSU, to call 850-891-4987. 850-891-4987 as we try to get more information about what happened and put these pieces together. All right, TPD.
Go ahead and listen in to that news conference right here.
All right, we are waiting right now for the TPD press conference to start here. It is set to start at 4:30 to give us some updates on the FSU shooting that happened this afternoon. A huge, massive law enforcement presence there all day. And, people have just been wondering how it all happened and looking for answers. So
it looks like Leon County Sheriff McNeil is there, among other law enforcement leaders. Tallahassee Police Chief Lawrence Revel, Tallahassee Mayor John
My name is
Daly.
Jason Trumbauer, and I'm the Chief of Police at Florida State University. All Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, healthcare, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions, but needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Rebel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here. And we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you were there from social media, please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, the president of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital where the First Lady and I met some of our students who are the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers, are absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and to help us and to be here today for this press conference. And I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They're treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people and our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled on the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our Employee Assistance Program. And so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community, and we're family. And so we'll take care of all of you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we will take a few questions. Let me just reiterate, this was a massive response of law enforcement personnel. Our federal, state, local partners have continued to build relationships that long preceded this event. And that came into great play today in the seamless way that we all came together to work these events. But I know you'll have some specific questions. I will tell you right now, we are not going to talk about the victims other than the fact that there are 6 of them, two additional deceased, and then the suspect. So 9 total persons. Yes, sir.
Have you all been able to talk to the suspect at all? Any idea about motive?
The suspect invoked his rights not to speak to us.
Chief, do we know if the weapon that was used was his parents' service weapon? And if so, what are the rules around storing service weapons?
Right. No, that's a good question. This weapon was a weapon that the deputy previously used. A lot of times, many agencies, mine included, when we transition to a new handgun, the officers are allowed to purchase the handgun they used prior. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, but I believe that's the case here. This was a handgun that deputy used prior to them transitioning to a new handgun. And so it was her personal handgun.
Is she put on leave or?
The sheriff would have to speak to that.
We will do a thorough investigation to look at all aspects of it. There's no cause right now that we're aware of that require her to be placed on any kind of suspension or otherwise.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been hearing stuff that it was a deputy who was a school resource officer. Is that true?
That is correct. Yes.
Chief, those injured, those killed, or any of those members of law enforcement?
I'm sorry?
Anyone who died in the shooting or was injured in the shooting, were any of them members of law enforcement, whether it be the...
No, they were not. They were not. Yes, sir.
When law enforcement arrived, did the suspects engage with them or did he surrender immediately?
No, they challenged him and ended up shooting. He did not comply with commands and was shot.
Did he fire officers?
I do not believe he fired at officers.
We've heard that Phoenix may be autistic. Are you able to confirm that detail?
I do not have that detail.
Is there an ID of the victims yet?
I'm sorry?
An ID of the victims?
We're not releasing any of the victim information at this time.
Was the officer aware of any behavioral conditions or concerns or threats prior to this incident?
We were not.
How quickly did officers arrive on scene with the 911 call to when they engaged the suspect?
We will get you that information. I don't have that currently. I assume that would be a question that was asked, but I mean, it was almost immediately. That FSU, obviously this is their campus and they patrol it very well. So they were on scene almost immediately, engaged almost immediately. And then everyone else, again, was a massive, very quick response.
I know you said that the two deceased were not students. Do we know of those 5 that were injured or any of them students?
Again, we're not releasing any information on the students on the victims at this point.
Specifically, what firearm did he use?
I'm sorry?
What kind of firearm was he using?
It was a handgun.
What kind of handgun?
I don't know what type of handgun that was. It was probably a 40. No, I don't know. Yeah.
Chief, I heard a report that a shotgun was also recovered on campus. Was that used in the shooting?
We do know that he had a shotgun with him. We have not confirmed anyone was shot with a shotgun at this point. But again, that could change as we, again, there are hundreds and hundreds of witnesses. And as we piece all of this back together, information will come to light that we may not have at this point. So I do not believe so at this point.
We'll take one more question. Will body cam footage of radio dispatch or any logs be released in the near future?
I'm sorry, say again.
Will there be any body cam footage or radio dispatch logs or incident reports being released anytime soon?
We will work with the state attorney's office, which we always do, in pulling together all the information, all the investigative evidence from this case, and then collaboration with State Attorney Campbell, we will make that determination. Obviously, after the case is over, we will certainly, it all becomes available at that point. But as to what we can and will release at that point, like I said before, we're very open, transparent on these things. Again, the officers did an incredible job. But again, some of this is very horrific. This is a horrific incident. And so we will, again, collaborate with the state attorney's office and determine which of that evidence could be released or will not be released. But again, I will let you know that as soon as we make that determination. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here. And just let me reiterate what's already been said. The collaboration between all of the agencies, the federal, the state, the local, all of our first responders, our EMS personnel, our fire department, again, just a massive response, immediate treatment to the victims that were there, the transport of them. Again, it was a very seamless response to this tragedy. And that goes to the training that we all do repeatedly, individually as agencies and together. The incident command came together very, very quickly. And again, I could not be more proud of the response and more horrified at the act. So thank you very much.
Can you please just real quick verify that one more time the number of people injured and dead, or if it was 8, just not saying that.
Sure. Total number of 9. That includes the suspect. So there are 6 victims that are injured, 2 victims that are dead, and 1 suspect. And that's, let me just reiterate this because I'm not sure we said this. We have no reason to believe at this point that he did not act alone. So there is no further threat to our community at this point. So thank you very much.
All right, so you guys got that, right? Let me kill this audio now. So probably the biggest takeaway from that, and I think you're going to find that a lot more is going to come out on this, is that, wow, it's the son of a female deputy from the local county sheriff that committed this murder. You got that, right? 2 dead, 6 injured. And again, I say this, and I don't say this to be cute. I say this factually. a lot of times when you say 6 dead, it doesn't mean 6 shot. It could be somebody stumbling as they ran away, which in many cases like this, it's people, you know, running to get away. So they count those. But the gun used, this is such a wild turn of events. I was not expecting this. The son of a deputy who, didn't they say, and obviously this will be confirmed, I'll put another video out. I'm pretty sure they said that he was a student at the school also. But the female deputy, it was her older service pistol that she did not carry daily anymore, but she assumed possession of whenever those newer pistols came in. You know how they just refresh the pistols. So it was her old duty pistol that the son had access to. The son gained access, obviously, to it, and then shot at least 2 that we know were killed. And the 2 killed were not students, by the way, just so you guys know. No students were killed. So what a strange turn of events. It's going to be a lot to be said. One thing I don't think we have to worry about now, since this was a law enforcement deputy whose firearm was used, we won't have to worry about access to guns or hearing about access to guns. I don't mean necessarily safe storage laws. I mean access in general. You know how they always say, oh, these people it's too easy to have access to guns. It was a cop's gun that was used to kill 2 people on this campus. They're not going to be able to use the same rhetoric as before. It doesn't work in this case because your people, the only ones that you think should have guns, had a gun in this case. And guess what? The killer still gained access to it. Let me paint this very clear picture of why they can't use this type of rhetoric. They only think law enforcement can have guns, and they think that there's easy access to it. And only law enforcement is responsible enough to have guns. But law enforcement had a gun in this case, and their own son used the gun to kill people. There's a lot of their arguments they're not going to be able to use, a lot of them. So, but just a strange turn of events, very strange. But I wanted to kind of wrap everything up because it's, for a lot of you guys, it's kind of a Friday because tomorrow's Good Friday. So I didn't want this to drag on too long. We've been live for almost 3 hours now since I was able to get, here to be able to turn this thing on. So that's all I know for now. I'll probably do a wrap-up video on this tomorrow. A lot more will come out about this. I think motive. Remember the shooter, the killer himself, he's not dead. He's not deceased. Now, he has invoked his privilege not to speak to law enforcement. So apparently he's going to seek getting an attorney. I did hear, and it's probably a stupid comment, but let me just say it anyway. One of the reporters said something about, do we know if the shooter is autistic? Where do people keep getting this thing that autistic people are mass shooters? Why does that seem to pop up? Wouldn't the question be better and more applicable and certainly follow the trends of past shooters if she would have asked, what kind of medication was he on? Why is that not the question? Why are we asking if they're autistic? Why aren't we saying, do you know if he was on any mood altering drugs? That seems like a much more reasonable question to ask to me, especially since all of the last ones were on some kind of an SSRI, right? Let's start asking those questions, not the stupid ones. Start asking the ones that actually we need an answer for. So anyway, that's all I know now. You guys, if you missed the press conference, I'll end the video here in a second. It's just prior to this segment that you're seeing right here. And it's a short press conference, 10, 15 minutes. So you want to check that out. Very interesting, right to the point. And again, the takeaway from it is that a deputy of the local county that this school is in had her previous service weapon that was issued to her by the county that she didn't carry anymore because they gave her an updated service weapon. She kept the older service weapon. Her son took the gun, the older service weapon, brought it to the campus and killed 2 people. and 6 others are injured that we know of. I don't know if they're shot or not. I'll gather up more information through the night and in the early morning, and I'll try to put something out maybe before tomorrow, before noon tomorrow. I'll try to get something out so we have more clarity on this so we can move on. But I suspect this one's going to disappear from the headlines pretty quick based on the fact that it was a law enforcement officer's firearm that was used in this. So there's not really anybody that they can shame in this one, because the news media, being the ones that want to say only law enforcement can have firearms, are not going to be able to utilize this one to make their cause, to make that argument. So guys, have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, folks.